After Wenbin and Chu Miaodan, the three great families' clansmen were also attacked by Blood Fiend Sect, Flaming Sun Island, and the Dark Shadow Race. In a brief while, Illusory Demon Sect's headquarters flowed with blood, corpses piled up in mountains. Out of the three forces that had gathered in Illusory Demon Sect, barely anyone managed to escape. The only ones who had managed to use their escape arts were Jiang En and the Gongya brothers. The slaughter continued for 2 hours. When everything calmed, Yu Lingwei looked at the ground covered in corpses with a dim expression, her emotions complicated. If not for Qin Lai and Flaming Sun Island, the corpses on the ground could have been ours. Amolingya stood next to her and comforted. Wenbin and the others have abandoned Illusory Demon Sect already. When you prioritized stopping the ghoul races, they prioritized overthrowing you. They abandoned their morals for greed. They didn't care about the greater good. When we and Flaming Sun Island were not strong enough, they harassed us many times. If these people lived, they would forever be a hidden danger to you. They would obstruct the rebuilding of Illusory Demon Sect. Yu Lingwei sighed softly, nodded, and spoke no more. Sect Master Yu, please take these spirit artifacts, Qin Lai said. The 1,000 illusion treasure flag of Chu Miaodan, the illusory demon orbs that could communicate with each other, and some other spirit artifacts flew to in front of Yu Lingwei. Those were spirit artifacts unique to Illusory Demon Sect. They could only be used in concert with Illusory Demon Sect's spirit arts. After Wenbin, Chu Miaodan and others' deaths, these spirit artifacts became ownerless and ended back in Yu Lingwei's hands. Many thanks, Yu Lingwei said softly. Qin Lai smiled. He didn't say much, and flew onto the flowing gold fire phoenix song Tingyu was on. Tang Beidu, Tan Miao, Lu Yi, Evil Infant Boy, La Pu and others returned, each of them giving off murderous energy. They had been killing the survivors of the three families. After this battle, the forces that had tried to force Terminator Sect to give you up 3 years ago will most likely have a hard time sleeping. Song Tingyu smiled brightly. Will you continue? Tang Beidu asked with a frown. He looked towards Qin Lai. Lu Yi and the others also focused on Qin Lai. They wanted to know his next decision. No. Qin Lai shook his head and said, This is the end. Tang Beidu clearly sighed in relief and then said, Wenbin and his subordinates, the three families and Black Voodoo cult, I also do not like them. When the ghoul races came out of Prism Continent, Heavenly Sword Mountain, Celestial Artifact Sect, 10,000 Beast Mountain, and the people led by Sect Master Yu went towards Prism Continent to help Terminator Sect fight them off. Only Black Voodoo cult and the three families did not act. They only sought benefit. When the human race was facing danger of extinction, they stood by. These people should die. Tang Beidu looked towards Qin Lai. He then said, while Heavenly Sword Mountain, 10,000 Beast Mountain, and Celestial Artifact Sect were wrong, they still stood out when the human race was in danger. Also, the three ghoul races have not been exterminated. You need their strength. It would be good not to be so thorough with your revenge. This matter will end here. Qin Lai nodded. Between Heavenly Wither Continent and Heaven Fisher Continent, where the Heaven Ghoul race resided in the air, many floating stone towers exploded. The bodies of more than 1,000 Heaven Ghoul race corpses scattered on those enormous stones. Some of them were dismembered, and others bloodied. Under the combined attacks of Heavenly Sword Mountain, 10,000 Beast Mountain, and Celestial Artifact Sect, the soul altars of 2 early imperishable realm ghouls finally shattered. Now, this batch of Heaven Ghoul race was completely exterminated. Butto, Matthew, and the others did not come. Li Mu looked at the ground covered in corpses without any pity. He said worriedly, Those people are the true elites of the Heaven Ghoul race. After they burrowed into the void passage at the Setting Sun Islands, they disappeared. They haven't returned at all, Yan Bai said. Feng Yi Qiyong and Wang Ens gathered at this place. They had originally wanted to kill Butto and the others together. I just received news from Terminator Profound Sect. The other batch of Heaven Ghoul clansmen left on Prism Continent has also been cleaned out. Luo Nan, Luo Chen's grandmother and one of the 5 Heavenly Swords frowned and said, Terminator Profound sect used the blazing profound bombs they purchased from Flaming Sun Island to destroy all the void passages that the Heaven Ghoul race formed on Prism Continent. Even if Butto and the others go there, it will not be so easy to return to the chaotic streams of space. Then where are Butto and the others hiding? Feng Yi's expression was grave. For them, Butto was the greatest danger. They would be anxious until they saw Butto die in front of them. They didn't know the power of heavenly blood divine beam. They did not know that Butto, who was struck with the heavenly blood divine beam, would almost not be able to recover. Father, I just received a message about illusory demon sect. Feng Yi suddenly said. What? Feng Yi asked. Feng Yi looked reluctantly at the group. Speak, Feng Yi said. When Bin, Chu Miaodan, Shi Xiuling, and the others originally from Illusory Demon Sect had re-entered Illusory Demon Sect under the help of Black Voodoo Cult and the three families, Feng Yi said. We knew this before. Feng Yi was impatient. 4 hours ago, Qin Lai, Xueli, Jiang Zhuzhe, Yu Lingwei, and the others came to Illusory Demon Sect, Feng Yi said. At this time, the expressions of Qi Yang of 10,000 Beast Mountain, Wang Ens of Heavenly Sword Mountain, and the others changed. The experts of the three forces stopped conversing, and their alarmed gazes gathered on Feng Yi. Feng Yi shrank back, his head lowered, and said, When Bin was killed on the spot, his soul altar shattered. The patriarchs of the three families, none of them managed to escape. Only the Pope of the Black Voodoo Cult and 2 Gongya brothers fled back to Black Voodoo Cult and do not dare come out of their great sect-protecting formation. Everyone's expressions changed. Is Qin Lai planning to settle his debts? Qi Yang's expression was slightly bitter. Do not forget that everyone has participated in the destruction of Blood Fiend Sect 1,000 years ago, Feng Yi said gravely. When this was said, people became even more anxious. They felt as though a storm of blood would rise in the land of chaos again. The Flaming Sun Island of this millennium and Blood Fiend sect became the most frightening forces in the land of chaos. Xueli, who had assimilated a 7-level soul altar, Jiang Zhuzhe, who had managed to injure Butto, and Qin Lai, who was able to invite a 5-level soul altar and other foreign races clansmen to fight. These 3 people allied together seemed able to break all the rules in the land of chaos. The 3 ghoul races have not been completely exterminated. They should not be in such a hurry to act. Wang Ens finally showed fear. On this day, he no longer had any of his former energy and didn't dare to underestimate the power of Flaming Sun Island and Blood Fiend sect. Soon, I will personally go to Flaming Sun Island and discuss this with Qin Lai. Just as the 3 leaders trembled in fear, Li Mu said with a solemn expression, I will do my best to persuade Qin Lai to not start a fight within the human race. Everyone's eyes lit up. They knew Qin Lai's respect towards Li Mu, especially Wang Ens. He also knew that Li Mu had a high opinion and took great care of Qin Lai back on the Scarlet Tide continent. He felt if Li Mu was willing to come forward, Qin Lai would give him face, and not pursue their malicious actions against him 3 years ago. As our apology, Heavenly Sword Mountain can give Scarlet Tide Continent, Flowing Cloud Continent, and Heavenly Fate Continent to Flaming Sun Island to make up for our mistakes 3 years ago, Wang Ens suddenly said. Scarlet Tide Continent was where Qin Lai had lived in the past. Profound Heaven Alliance and 8 Extreme Temple were subordinate forces of Heavenly Sword Mountain. Flowing Cloud Continent and Heavenly Fate Continent were close to Scarlet Tide Continent. The Joyful Union sect who had once wanted to take over Armament sect stemmed from there. Wang Ens was afraid Qin Lai would come with his army. He was willing to give up Scarlet Tide Continent, Flowing Cloud Continent, and Heavenly Fate Continent for peace. This meant that he greatly feared the alliance of Flaming Sun Island and Blood Fiend sect. You want to give him 3 continents? Yan Bai was astounded. These 3 continents are relatively far from Heavenly Sword Mountain, and Scarlet Tide Continent has relations to the Setting Sun Islands. Li Mu thought, looked at Yan Bai and Luonan, and asked, What do you think? Luonan thought for a moment and said, It really is far from the Heavenly Wither Continent. Li Mu nodded and said, I will use this as a bargaining chip in my discussion with Qin Lai. Pausing, he looked at Feng Yi and Qi Yang. He said, Heavenly Sword Mountain is willing to give up 3 continents. What do you say? Feng Yi and Qiyang had bitter grimaces. 3 years ago, you wanted to force Terminator sect to give him up. Now that Qin Lai is powerful, if he recklessly seeks revenge, ask yourselves, will you be able to endure? Li Mu's expression was cold. I'm willing to be the speaker and help you resolve your conflict. I hope you can show your sincerity. Give us time to discuss. Feng Yi and Qiyang said. All right. Li Mu nodded. Feng Yi, Qiyang, and the elites of Celestial Artifact Sect and 10,000 Beast Mountain bent their heads and spoke in low tones. After a long while, Qiyang said, Heaven Fisher Continent is far from the setting sun islands. However, we have some continents that are relatively close to the ruined lands. If one can make a mid-sized teleportation formation, those continents will be connected to the ruined lands. Celestial Artifact Sect has 3 about the same size as Scarlet Tide Continent. If we give them all, it may serve as a condition to cease all fighting. Li Mu smiled slightly, nodded and said, That's sincere enough. Are you confident that you will stop him from waging war? Wang Enz asked. Continue to clean out the ghouls. I will persuade him from continuing his slaughter. Li Mu laughed. He knew that Wang Enz, Feng Yi, Qiyang, and the others would not have been so generous in the past. These people feared Budo and the ghoul races. They were powerless against a 4-level soul altar Budo. And facing Luz, who had a 5-level soul altar, they could not muster any resistance, so they had to use this method to ask for peace. Flaming Sun Island. Many excited faces celebrated and drank, each palace filled with cheers and laughter. The 3 ghoul races were defeated, and Wenbin, along with the other members of Illusory Demon Sect that opposed Flaming Sun Island, had been killed as well. The patriarchs of the 3 families that once invaded this land had been killed. Jiang and had been defeated, fled into his sect, afraid to show his face. The inspiring news caused the martial practitioners who had joined Flaming Sun Island before and after to become extremely excited. Flaming Sun Island, which had been founded not long ago, had become one of the top factions in the Land of Chaos. After the 3 families were destroyed and Illusory Demon Sect's strength greatly decreased, Flaming Sun Island became a major faction that could be mentioned in the same sentence with Terminator Sect, Celestial Artifact Sect, Heavenly Sword Mountain, and 10,000 Beast Mountain. For these martial practitioners of Flaming Sun Island, nothing made them rejoice more at the decision they made to join Flaming Sun Island. In the large hall, Qin Lai, Song Tingyu, Tang Siki, Mo Hai, and the other core members of Flaming Sun Island conversed happily. On the rectangle table 12 meters long were fresh fruits, carefully made food, and all kinds of delicious wine. When Li Mu and Xianxia came in, they found Qin Lai and the others slightly drunk. The 2 exchanged a look and then voiced the conditions that Wang Enz and the others had given. What? Song Tingyu's eyes lit up like stars. Heavenly Sword Mountain is going to give Scarlet Tide Continent, Heavenly Fate Continent, and Flowing Cloud Continent to us. Qin Lai's expression also turned shocked. These 3 continents are Heavenly Sword Mountain's proposition. Li Mu smiled and nodded his head. 10,000 Beast Mountain and Celestial Artifact Sect will give the 5 continents closest to the ruined lands. Xianxia added. The martial practitioners of Flaming Sun Island stilled. Then they laughed strangely. They do not want war to start again. Li Mu looked at Qin Lai and said, Seriously, I hadn't planned on waging war in the first place. Qin Lai shrugged with a relaxed expression. However, this is an unexpected but a very happy surprise. Once Luz and the other Dark Shadow clansmen moved to the Nether Continent through Tate, his forces would immediately lose majority of their Soul Altar experts. At that time, he would not have the ability to fight Heavenly Sword Mountain, 10,000 Beast Mountain, and Celestial Artifact Sect. He had wanted to plan in the long term. You made too much of a fuss. At Illusory Demon Sect, the death of Wenbin and the others, the destruction of the 3 Patriarch Soul Altars, they are afraid of your savage retaliation. Li Mu smiled slightly, learning that Qin Lai did not intend to attack the 3 factions. He sighed inwardly in relief. He felt that his understanding of Qin Lai was not wrong. Gowei dozai ah? Where is everyone? Su Ran and his wife, Tong Jinjin, came in with Shen Kuei, Lei Yen and Xin Yu. The group of Terminator sect martial practitioners walked into the hall. These are our friends from Terminator sect. Qin Lai stood and introduced Mo Hai, Yao Tai, Feng Rong and the others. Welcome. Mo Hai and the others stood in greeting. Since everyone is here, how about we clear some things up? Su Ran smiled and said easily, in the current situation, it appears that the three ghoul races will not be able to make any waves. Their extinction is just a matter of time. Everyone nodded. Through the rampage of the three ghoul races, the human factions have all suffered great losses. Illusory demon sect is completely ruined. It may not be able to recover even after 300 years. Su Ran looked at the group. You killed the patriarchs of the three families. Many of their clansmen were killed before that by the Earth Ghoul race. Without any surprises, from now on, the three families will not be able to rise again in the land of chaos. Heavenly Sword Mountain, 10,000 Beast Mountain and Celestial Artifact Sect have suffered varying degrees of damage and lost many soul altar experts. Su Ran paused. Everyone showed thoughtful expressions. The land of chaos needs a period of peace, Su Ran said sincerely. At this moment, Li Mu and the people of Terminator sect subconsciously looked towards Qin Lai. Without realizing it, Qin Lai had become the most important person who could change the state of the land of chaos. His decisions could ignite the flames of war once again in this part of the world, or make it settle in peace. Both Terminator sect and Li Mu hoped that the humans could rest for a while. They wanted Qin Lai to stop. Flaming Sun Island will not wage war, Qin Lai promised. The people from Terminator sect sighed in relief. Behind Qin Lai were Luz, who had a 5-level soul altar, and more than a dozen Dark Shadow Race soul altar experts. This faction was more than enough to annihilate any silver rank faction in the land of chaos. Even Terminator sect would not be able to match them. Therefore, Qin Lai's attitude was crucial for all of the land of chaos. Blood Fiend sect, what is the situation there? Su Ran asked. The destruction of Blood Fiend sect back then was led by Black Voodoo cult and had the three families as collaborators from within. However, the other factions all participated. Shen Kuei's brow furrowed and his expression turned serious. The present Blood Fiend sect is separated into Jiang Zhuzhe and Xue Li's branches. These two brothers have resolved their differences, and Blood Fiend sect has become one of the strongest factions in the land of chaos. Especially Jiang Zhuzhe. He was able to seriously injure Buto. His power is unfathomable. No one knows how many tricks he has up his sleeve. I'm more worried about Xue Li. Li Mu sighed. Su Ran nodded softly and said, Xue Li has clearly been influenced too deeply by the soul altar of the blood progenitor. If he loses himself and goes mad, he will be more troublesome than Jiang Zhuzhe. If he achieves a breakthrough and comprehends the mysteries of another level of that soul altar, he will become the most terrifying person in the land of chaos, Li Mu said. If Blood Fiend sect is not willing to rest, the chaos may still continue, Shen Kuei said worriedly. Other than you, this pair of brothers doesn't seem to listen to anyone. Li Mu looked deeply at Qin Lai. Qin Lai thought for a while and said, I will urge them. Li Mu smiled, nodded and said, gratified. The most correct thing I did in this lifetime was to have you become an apprentice of my little shop back then in Ice Stone City. Qin Lai bowed deeply. Without Uncle Li, I would have died at Ice Stone City a long time ago. I wouldn't have made it out of the Scarlet Tide continent. It's very lively here. At this time, Xue Li's voice came from outside. Island Master Qin, I hope you won't blame me for coming without an invitation? Jiang Zhuzhe raised his voice. When the brothers' voices sounded, the expressions of many people in the hall changed minutely. Qin Lai smiled and said, Great wine and food specially prepared to celebrate our victory. At your leisure. Xue Li and Jiang Zhuzhe walked in together. Under the eyes of the crowd, the two brothers came to the long table. They each grabbed a jug of wind and gulped down several mouthfuls. Their bodies carried a strong tang of blood, and their clothing was marked with blood. While Zhang Zhujia's clothing was bloodied, his aura was elegant and relaxed like a scholar. He gave off an eerie and extraordinary charisma. Xueli's eyes had recovered their normal color, bottomless and hard to guess. After they came, everyone else other than Li Mu, Duan Xianxia, and a few others, felt pressured. This pair of brothers appeared to have resolved their past differences and come back together again. When they were not enemies and were allied with each other, they were the most terrifying existences in the land of chaos. What was the result? Qin Lai asked with a smile. He was the only person in the room who had a smile on his face. Brother Xueli and Zhang Zhuzia were not threats in his eyes. He was also the person who could affect this pair of brothers the most in the land of chaos. Zhang En has retreated back to the depths of Myriad Poison Forest, and is within the great sect-protecting formation of Black Voodoo Cult. The two of us together cannot break through that ancient formation. Zhang Zhuzia shook his head and said, "That ancient formation is more complete than in the past." It seems the first voodoo creature had given Zhang En true inheritance of Black Voodoo Cult, along with a few secrets. "Then you came out empty-handed?" Qin Lai said. "We killed many people." Xueli snickered. Not all the disciples of Black Voodoo Cult were called back into that formation in time. We stayed a while around the Myriad Poison Forest and killed one Soul Altar expert, 6 Nirvana Realm martial practitioners, and several dozen disciples in the Fragmentation Realm. He subconsciously licked the corner of his mouth. Qin Lai looked at this small motion. His expression didn't change, but he was shocked. "I talked with Senior MO and we agreed to abide by our earlier previous agreement. You will divide the Heavenly Calamity continent between yourselves. The Setting Sun Islands and the surrounding factions will belong to Flaming Sun Island." Qin Lai suddenly said, "Whatever you say, I owe you too much. No matter what you demand, it will not be outrageous in my eyes." Xueli immediately agreed. Then he said, "I feel you can directly enter the Heavenly Slaughter continent. If you let that 5-level Soul Altar come out, Black Voodoo Cult will be exterminated. In the present illusory demon sect, only Yu Lingwei possesses a Soul Altar. She cannot intimidate that continent with just illusory demon sect alone. However, you gave it up, so I will not say anything. I do not want to wage war temporarily. Instead, I will expand my area of influence towards other places." Qin Lai looked at the pair of brothers and said, "I'm willing to stop all actions against Heavenly Sword Mountain, 10,000 Beast Mountain, and Celestial Artifact Set. What about you? If Flaming Sun Island doesn't move, we are not a match for the 3 factions." Zhang Zhuzia smiled as though he saw through everyone's thoughts. He said, "The people we hate are Black Voodoo Cult and the 3 families. Now that we have obtained the Heavenly Calamity continent, we will not continue this madness. If you do not move, we will not move." Xueli looked at Qin Lai. "The 3 members of my family, my branch of Blood Fiend sect, we all owe you." When the two expressed their opinions, everyone in the hall, including Su Ran and Li Mu, sighed inwardly in relief. They had been worried that Qin Lai would not be able to persuade this pair of brothers. They had feared that the brothers would continue to give chase and target Heavenly Sword Mountain, Celestial Artifact Sect, and 10,000 Beast Mountain. The two of them promising publicly that they would not continue their madness caused the stone weighing on their backs to be lifted. After the 2 brothers, Xueli and Zhang Zhuzia, made the promise that they wouldn't start another bloody war, they left Flaming Sun Island. Using Flaming Sun Island's spatial teleportation formation, Zhang Zhuzia returned to the ruined lands first in order to make the necessary preparations to migrate to Heavenly Calamity continent. Similarly, Xueli needed to organize things for a bit before he could take the disciples at Setting Sun Islands back to Blood Cloud Mountain Range. "Big Brother Xue, have you truly put down your former enmity with Zhang Zhuzia?" When Xueli came over, Hong Bowen couldn't help but ask in deep puzzlement. Mo Lingyer aside, Mo Jun, Xue Moyan, and even Meng Feng looked puzzled. They didn't know what on earth happened to Xueli that he would join hands with Zhang Zhuzia. "Well, no. But, for the sake of Blood Fiend Sect's future, there is a need to set aside my grievances for now." Xueli looked at them and pondered for a moment. From now on, our faction and Xianxia's faction are both enemies and allies. I am considering how we should live with them too. The situation in the land of chaos changes constantly. Only by working together with Xianxia can Blood Fiend sect walk further down the path. Molingyia said softly. The group fell silent in thought. When are we leaving? Xue Moyan suddenly asked. Xue Li cast a meaningful glance at her before sighing quietly in his own mind. Then he said, Bring everything you should bring with you. We will be leaving as soon as possible. After today, the Setting Sun Islands, Heavenly Sea Pavilion, Black Cloud Palace, the Pan family and the islands that are connected to the Heavenly Slaughter Continent Skyflame and Evil Eye will belong to Qinlai's Flaming Sun Island. Now that Eclipse Sun Island, Heavenly Snake Island, Scarlet Cloud Island, and some other copper rank forces have joined Flaming Sun Island, their territory is at least 10 times bigger than what it was initially, Mo Jun added. Considering Flaming Sun Island's current strength, their gains are not that big. Qinlai could have taken Illusory Demon Sect 2 if he was any greedier. Mo Lingyia looked at the group and said, The fact that Qinlai was able to control his greed and abstain from taking Illusory Demon Sect's territory surprises me greatly as well. No one could have predicted the scale which Flaming Sun Island has developed into today. Meng Feng was filled with emotions too. At the beginning, Flaming Sun Island, Grey Island, and Blood Island were territories Blood Fiend Sect had gifted to Qinlai. It was to thank him for saving Blood Fiend Sect multiple times. There was also the favor where he gifted the Blood Progenitor's body and the 7-level soul altar to Xue Li. At the beginning, Flaming Sun Island had to rely on Blood Fiend Sect after they had allied each other officially. But in just 5 years' time, Flaming Sun Island's wealth had far exceeded Blood Fiend Sect's. The number of experts they possessed also grew bigger and bigger. Most importantly, Flaming Sun Island shared close relationships with Terminator Sect and Heavenly Sword Mountain. They didn't have enemies everywhere like Blood Fiend Sect. 10 years later, Flaming Sun Island may become the richest silver rank force in the entire land of chaos. In fact, 10 years may be an overestimation, Mo Lingyia said softly. Everyone looked astonished. As of late, I noticed that Miss Song is purchasing a large amount of basic spirit materials and selling many rare high-grade spirit materials that have never appeared in the land of chaos before. The amount of spirit materials she bought and sold is tremendous. Mo Lingyia looked at the group. Do you know what this means? Mo Jun, Meng Feng, and the others looked confused. Xue Moyan was the only one who came to realization as her cold eyes gleamed with an odd light. Flaming Sun Island has made a connection with another realm. Everyone shivered at her response. Mo Lingyia nodded gently while saying, The reason Terminator Sect is as powerful as they are is because they had a trade relationship with the Azura realm. They managed to gain many precious spirit materials as a result. Moreover, I heard that the realm that was trading with Terminator Sect wasn't even a particularly big realm compared to the rest of the realms the Azura race possesses. Heavenly Sword Mountain also seems to have made a connection with Nether Realm through Limu and gained many spirit materials as a result. As for the 3 great families, the realm of the Grey Wing race they were allied with has a pitiful amount of resources, so it isn't worth mentioning. However, if my guess is correct, the realm Flaming Sun Island is connected to is probably a middle-sized realm that surpasses the one possessed by the Azura race and is filled with valuable resources, she said with great envy. There are differences between realms too? Meng Feng looked surprised. The classification of realms only began after the God race has dominated Spirit Realm, Mo Lingyia explained. Before the God race showed up, the races of Spirit Realm were unfamiliar with the concept of exploring and pioneering new realms. They didn't know the infinite wonders that unknown realms may hold. The God race was the race with the best pioneering spirit in the vast galaxy. It is said that they are as strong as they are because they invaded many realms in their lifetime. After visiting different realms and witnessing a wondrous page of the world, their understanding of the galaxy's secrets and beauty also deepened in the process. This enhanced their bloodline and improved their knowledge of the world's laws. They didn't lose their pioneering spirit after they dominated Spirit Realm either. They continued to spread to countless unknown realms from Spirit Realm. The reason the Grey Wing race, Xianxia race, Dragonman race, Lizard race, and other small races are known to Spirit Realm was because of the God race's invasion into their realms. Everyone was listening to her intently. It was obvious that this was the first time they heard about the secrets of the realms. The God race categorized the realms into various sizes. They can be small, medium, large, and super large, Xianxia continued. The realm the Grey Wing race lived in and the Azura realm that the Terminator sect is connected to are likely small realms. The realms of the Dragonman race and Lizard race at the Ruined Lands are also small realms. These realms are probably only as big as one heavenly calamity continent. A medium realm should be as big as the Land of Chaos. The realm Flaming Sun Island is currently connected to should be around this size. A large realm may be 10 times bigger than the Land of Chaos or more. For example, the Dragon race's ancestral land, the Ancient Beast race's realm, and the Giant race's realm are all large realms. Most powerful ancient races lived in large realms. Hong Bowen asked, "What about the super large realms?" At present, there is only one super large realm known to the world. Xianxia pointed at the ground beneath her feet and said, "And it is the world we live in." The answer shook everyone. This realm is titled by all large races as the Divine Realm, Spirit Realm, or Saint Realm. It is also the only realm the God race acknowledged as a super large realm, and the world they called the center of the galaxy. Xianxia looked at the group and said, "The God race has detected many passages to other realms in our infinitely vast spirit realm. These passages allowed anyone to reach a countless number of unknown realms in space. This is a characteristic no other realms possessed. Even the large realms only had passages to spirit realm, and not other small or medium realms. This is also why the God race didn't leave and choose to make it their main base and base of operation after they dominated Spirit Realm. Spirit Realm gave them entry to all kinds of other realms. This is why Spirit Realm is titled the Saint Realm, Divine Realm, and Spirit Realm by many races. What about the Graveyard of Gods? What kind of realm is it?" Meng Feng asked. Xianxia shook her head smilingly. The Graveyard of Gods is just a secret realm. It had been created by a powerful martial practitioner. It is not a natural creation of the world. Are you saying that a secret realm is smaller than a normal realm? Meng Feng subconsciously asked. Generally speaking, secret realms are created by a powerful being with their own strength, through their tremendous knowledge of the world's laws and secrets. A secret realm isn't birthed naturally into the world after millions and millions of years. That is why they don't contain natural spirit energy. The birth of sentient life in a secret realm is also almost unheard of. A secret realm is dead. It is highly unlikely that they carry precious treasures within them. Even if they are, the treasures there are usually left behind by the master of the secret realm and not the natural product of the secret realm itself. The difference between a normal realm and a secret realm is that a normal realm can give birth to sentient life and nurture all kinds of rare spirit materials and ultimate treasures. Moreover, normal realms are normally much bigger than a secret realm. If they are not artificially tampered with, they can exist for almost an eternity. Xianxia explained carefully. So you mean to say that the realm Flaming Sun Island has made a connection with is a medium realm, and that there are sentient life within it? Xueli also fell into deep thought. Could it be the Nether Realm? Kulu and his people are Horned Demon clansmen, and the Horned Demon race is one of the 3 strongest races in Nether Realm. No, it's definitely not the Nether Realm. The spirit materials they sold are all items of extreme yang and heat. There is no way such a spirit material could exist in Nether Realm, Xianxia said. So you are saying that this medium realm alone is enough to make Flaming Sun Island the richest force in the Land of Chaos? And this is disregarding their talent in artifact forging. Jun exclaimed in surprise. The gold rank forces in the Central World only come to possess all kinds of rare spirit materials that they use to create many soul altar experts because they trade with other realms or outright conquer them. Xianxia nodded before saying, "At some point, a powerful force must pioneer auxiliary realms in order to obtain an endless source of spirit materials. These spirit materials enable them to grow strong at a tremendous rate. The fact is Flaming Sun Island has gotten ahead of every force on the land of chaos in this regard. I doubt there's any force that can stop their rapid rise to the top now. The Blood Fiend 10 elders looked shocked. A long while later, Meng Feng looked at Xue Li and Mo Lingye. There was a sparkle in his eyes as he turned his gaze at Xue Moyan and said suddenly, "Big brother Xue, big sister Mo, what do you think about that thing I spoke of last time?" Mo Lingye caught his meaning and told Xue Moyan, "Moyan, please instruct the people outside to carry our belongings into the ships." Xue Moyan blushed, turned around and walked out of the hall. Marriage can pull us closer to Flaming Sun Island. We personally believe that this is a good way to maintain our friendship. After Moyan left, Mo Jun also suggested seriously, "Right now, there is no other youth who is as outstanding as Qin Lai. Moreover, Qin Lai himself is very fond of Blood Fiend sect, and he is of great aid to us. That little bastard is good at everything except being faithful. I don't want Moyan to suffer from his fickleness." Xue Li shook his head and added, "Plus, Qin Lai already has Ling Yushi and Miss Song. Not to mention that he seems to be tangled up with Tang Siki too. No way, I won't agree to this. Moyan's identity, status and beauty are all as good as Miss Song's. If Moyan were to marry him, I believe that she is good enough to be his first wife." Mo Lingye pondered for another moment before saying, "Besides, Qin Lai possesses the blood of the god race. From what I heard, Terminator sect, Celestial Artifact sect, and 10,000 Beast Mountain all desired his bloodline very much. They all hoped that Xinyu, Luo Kursin, or Tianyu would be able to obtain Qin Lai's divine blood, no matter what method they had to employ." She looked at the group and said, "The top-rate gold rank forces at the Central World are able to stand strong for tens of millennia precisely because of the inheritance of bloodlines. But even the ancient race's bloodline they possessed couldn't compare to Qin Lai's. The god race's blood is a bloodline that every great human force desires. It is publicly known as the strongest bloodline." After inhaling deeply, Mo Lingye said, "If Moyan can have a child with Qin Lai, this child, whatever their gender is, will lead Blood Fiend's sect to unprecedented heights." Her eyes shone with the light of excitement. Despite his firm protests earlier, even Xue Li had fallen silent after hearing her description of the future. It was obvious that he was moved. If their grandchildren were to possess divine blood, they would immediately become the most talented and promising people in the entire world. They would be able to attain heights he dared not even imagine. How could he not feel moved by this? Gray Island. Inside scorching hot artifact forging rooms, Tang Siki was teaching young artificer apprentices loudly and helping them familiarize themselves with the art of artifact forging. Tang Siki was dressed in bright red tight suit. She looked like a radiant, tender, and beautiful tree peony. She walked in and out of the artifact forging rooms while teaching the new recruits on how to manipulate the power of fire. Flame Demon Tang Beidou was sitting on the windowsill of a tall building at Gray Island and looking down from above. He was lost in thought as he stared at Tang Siki. A while later, he exclaimed softly from above, "Come up here, Siki." Tang Siki looked up towards Tang Beidou and asked, "Do you have something to tell me?" "Mn." Tang Beidou nodded. "All right." Tang Siki asked Lian Ro to take over while she went up the building. "Senior Sister Tang recently looks unhappy and troubled. I wonder what's going on with her." Yi Yuan frowned next to her. Lian Ro rolled her eyes at him and snorted. "Do you even need to ask? It's Qin Lai, of course." A look of realization passed through Yi Yuan's eyes as he sighed. "These aren't easy topics. What's so hard about it?" Lian Ro glared at him and said fiercely, "If Song Tingyu can become lovers with Qin Lai, then why not Siki? He knows that Siki loves him deeply, so how can he pretend to be so oblivious? Do you think this is fair to Siki?" Yi Yuan rubbed his nose and laughed dryly. "He already has Miss Ling and now he has Miss Song. Maybe he doesn't want to hurt anyone else. If he has Miss Ling, then why did he hook up with Song Tingyu in the first place? They're obviously together," Lian Ro said disdainfully. Yi Yuan coughed a few times and shut his mouth consciously. Lian Ro stopped attacking him after seeing that he had stopped arguing with her. She suddenly lowered her voice and said, Senior Flame Demon secretly sent a message to summon Qianlai earlier. Yuan came to sudden understanding. Are you saying that Senior Flame Demon wants to stand up for Senior Sister Tang? What else could it be? Lian Ro said matter-of-factly. Island Master Qin. The Island Master is here. Suddenly, a distant commotion caused the apprentices who were focusing on controlling the flames to grow excited. They all walked out of their artifact forging rooms and showered the approaching Qianlai with gazes of adoration. In their minds, Qianlai was a legend of Flaming Sun Island and the hero who saved the human forces of the Land of Chaos. They respected Qianlai from the bottom of their heart. It was this admiration that drove some of these people to rush over from the other continents and work as artificer apprentices on Flaming Sun Island. Qianlai smiled and greeted these teenagers who were only 15 or 16 years old before he arrived beside Lian Ro and Yuan. He came to a stop. When he saw the peeved look Lian Ro was shooting his way, he pretended not to notice anything. Yuan, on the other hand, was shrugging his shoulders and wearing a wry smile on his face. It was a nonverbal gesture to express that he could do nothing while Lian Ro was angry. Senior Sister Lian Ro, who made you angry? Qianlai chuckled twice before turning towards Yuan with a look of understanding on his face. It must have been Yuan, hasn't it? Before Yuan could say anything, he scolded him. Why are you making Senior Sister Lian Ro angry again? Yuan groaned incessantly at the injustice. The new artificer apprentices stuck out their tongues and obediently went back into their artifact forging rooms when they saw that Qianlai was making fun of Yuan and Lian Ro. They weren't stupid, and they all knew that Lian Ro had a bad temper. Anyone who dared to watch while she was being made fun of was definitely going to suffer a punishment later. Qianlai, have you forgotten about your sect mates from Armament Sect now that you've become Island Master Qin and the VIP of the Land of Chaos? Lian Ro waited until the little fellows were all gone before she finally snorted and shot him with an accusation. Of course not. Qianlai smiled. Come with me. Lian Ro pulled his sleeve and dragged him all the way to the corner of the stone building where Tang Beidou was at. After shooting a glare at Yuan to chase away the peepers, she finally said, Tell me, do you know Siki's feelings for you? Qianlai thought for a moment before nodding slightly. At least you can admit this. Lian Ro was moderately satisfied with his response. Then, she said casually, What do you think of Siki then? Qianlai fell silent. Lian Ro stared at him unrelentingly. A long while later, Qianlai sighed quietly and answered, I just want to give her more time to consider things carefully. I don't even know who I am fully, and I've already owe a debt of love. I'm afraid that she will regret this in the future. Then what about Song Tingyu? Lian Ro glared at him. Our relationship is a little complicated. Back at the Graveyard of Gods, we both thought that we weren't walking out of that place alive. That was why we... Qianlai gave her a brief explanation on how Song Tingyu had caught the voodoo poison and lost her will to live back then. They had ultimately come together because they both thought that their time was limited. I see. Lian Ro relaxed slightly. She didn't realize just how scary Qianlai and Song Tingyu's experience in the Graveyard of Gods really was. It was only now she understood their relationship a little more. Siki loves you very much. I believe that she has thought through everything already. She even hinted many times at her true feelings of her own volition. Didn't she? If you keep this up and not give her a straight answer, I'm afraid that she'll do something foolish one day. Lian Ro said seriously. Recently, she kept losing concentration while forging artifacts. She even slipped up a couple of times. If this continues, I'm afraid that your presence will drag down even her artifact forging talent and stop her from progressing any further. I understand, Qianlai said. Understand what? Lian Ro was surprised. Qianlai smiled but didn't say anything more. Instead, he walked straight into the stone building where Tang Beidou was at. Is there something you need me for? Meanwhile, Tang Siki had arrived at the flame demon's side and gave him a respectful salute. I've invited Qianlai, the flame demon said indifferently. Tang Siki obviously looked a little nervous. Why did you invite him? To talk about the thing that's between you and him. The flame demon snorted. You don't have to bother with such a trivial thing. Tang Siki was so anxious that even her cheeks had turned red. I'm leaving. Please don't tell him anything. She was about to leave in haste. Stop right there. The flame demon exclaimed with a glare. If you have something to say, then say it instead of keep it all pent up in your heart. I noticed that you were feeling down and losing concentration as of late. It's all because of that boy, isn't it? After snorting coldly once more, he added, I will get an answer out of him. What part of my girl isn't comparable to others? Is Song Tingyu responsible for Grey Island's booming success? You're the one who made Grey Island what it is today, isn't it? Before Tang Siki could say anything, he yelled again. Sure, he has plenty of able people supporting him right now. But so what? If he doesn't give you an answer today, I'll take you away from Flaming Sun Island right now, never to return. I don't want this, Tang Siki said hastily. It was at this moment Qin Lai walked in from outside. Tang Siki scratched his messy head and glared fiercely at Qin Lai. Did you hear everything, boy? Qin Lai nodded with a smile on his face. I did. What is your answer then? Tang Beidou yelled. Right now, Tang Siki was being grabbed by the flame demon. She couldn't leave even though she tried to. Her head was lowered, and even her neck was red. She didn't dare to look at Qin Lai. Qin Lai walked right next to Tang Siki and pulled the flame demon's hands away from hers right before his eyes. Then he gripped her hand with his own and said, This is my answer. Tang Siki abruptly looked up and stared at him in pleasant surprise. The flame demon was momentarily surprised before he let out an odd chuckle. He nodded. I guess you aren't too foolish after all. He then flew away from this place. It's been hard on you for the past few years, Qin Lai said softly. No, it was not hard at all. Tang Siki pursed her lips and said softly. The deep wrinkles around her eyebrows vanished, just like that. Island Master Qin has been invited to Grey Island by the flame demon. Bowing his head and standing beside Song Tingyu, Gu Rongguang informed her of the news softly. Song Tingyu was pressing her white, left hand against the stone table before her. She seemed to be thinking about something. When Gu Rongguang looked at her hand, he noticed that there were 2 letters beneath it. Miss Song. Gu Rongguang let out a reminder. Song Tingyu finally smiled as if she just came back down to earth. She said, Did you think that I would feel jealous? Or did you think I should stop them from tying the knot? I wouldn't dare, Gu Rongguang said hastily. I have 2 letters in my hand. One of them comes from Terminator sect, and the other one comes from Blood Fiend sect. The messengers who brought them specifically mentioned that Qin Lai must look through them personally. Song Tingyu gave him a strange smile. What if I tell you I can guess roughly what's inside without even opening these letters? Gu Rongguang looked astonished. Terminator sect has always wanted to marry Shin Yu to Qin Lai. Mo Lingye of Blood Fiend sect also wanted Shui Moyan and Qin Lai to engage in marriage of convenience to pull Blood Fiend sect and Flaming Sun Island closer. Song Tingyu said with the ghost of a smile dancing across her lips. Gu Rongguang abruptly trembled and said hastily, Miss, both these misses are a serious threat to you. They're not the only ones too. Song Tingyu curled her lips and said ridiculingly, A long time ago, Luo Kurson of Celestial Artifact sect already tried to absorb Flaming Sun Island into her sect through a marriage of convenience. 3 years ago, they even promised Qin Lai the seat of Vice Sect Master, and that his child, regardless of the gender, will become Celestial Artifact sect's new sect master. After Qin Lai had rejected their offer, they attacked the ruined lands and exposed the fact that Qin Lai possesses the god race's blood, so they could force Forefather Terminator to hand him over. That's incredible. Gu Rongguang looked astonished. Song Tingyu smiled slightly. You have no idea how valuable Qin Lai's bloodline is. You cannot imagine how many women of better qualifications than mine will risk everything to climb onto Qin Lai's bed from here on either. Gu Rongguang was stunned. If I seriously try to stop them all, I doubt I will have the energy to do anything else. She shook her head and said calmly, At the very least, Tang Siki is one of us. I will only be happy with her union with Qin Lai. She smiled at Gu Rongguang. I know better than you about the relationships between men and women, so you don't have to worry about it. Gu Rongguang lowered his head and said sincerely, I shall remember it in the future. After the ghoul races went into hiding, the racial war that engulfed the entire land of chaos came to an end. At Grey Island, Qin Lai stayed with Tang Siki to research and master the middle-grade spirit diagrams from the soul-suppressing orb. The reason he researched those ancient spirit diagrams wasn't to forge artifacts, but to understand its secrets and learn the essence of power. Tang Siki also used these ancient spirit diagrams to aid in the growth of Grey Island's artificers. This was so that they could swiftly surpass Celestial Artifact Sect and become the #1 artificing force in the Land of Chaos. There are 15 kinds of middle-grade ancient spirit artifacts, and each is vast and deep. If they are combined, they can even be used to refine a heaven-grade spirit artifact. Tang Siki praised. Inside the vast stone hall, the 15 middle-grade ancient spirit diagrams filled the walls with complicated and web-like pictures. Qin Lai and Tang Siki were sitting inside the hall while surrounded by many spirit boards. My grandfather once told me that spirit diagrams are the direct expression of the world's laws. Therefore, those who understood the secrets of the ancient spirit diagrams would be able to understand that secrets of the universe in the future. They are inexplicably beneficial to the improvement of one's cultivation and strength. Qin Lai smiled. To be honest, the reason Flaming Sun Island could improve so quickly in such a short time was all thanks to these ancient spirit diagrams. Tang Siki deeply agreed with him. That's right. Without these ancient spirit diagrams, we would have failed to refine the blazing profound bombs and all kinds of exquisite spirit artifacts. We wouldn't be even nearly as wealthy as we are now. Without a vast amount of spirit stones or spirit materials, powerful martial practitioners like Tan Miao wouldn't have joined Flaming Sun Island either. Not even Terminator Sect can gather the Ascension materials to build a soul altar for a martial practitioner so easily. Qin Lai nodded. A top-rate force must be able to accumulate a great amount of capital and enough soul altar experts. When he said this, he gave her a confident grin. In this regard, Flaming Sun Island is ahead of everyone. We control the secret realm entrance to Boluo Realm, so we will be able to develop faster than any silver rank force in the Land of Chaos using these rare spirit materials. Oh right, Sister Song Tingyu should be done preparing the new batch of spirit materials to trade with Boluo Realm already. Shouldn't she? Tang Siki changed the subject. We've been here for more than a month. Is she okay with this? Qin Lai thought for a moment. I'll go ask her. She should know about you and me, right? Tang Siki looked a little worried. Qin Lai gave her a smile. Don't worry. After consoling Tang Siki for a moment, he left the stone hall and went to Flaming Sun Island. He went to see Song Tingyu immediately. Oh? Are you finally done? Song Tingyu asked smilingly. Qin Lai gave her a slightly embarrassed smile. How is the next batch of spirit materials for the trade with Boluo Realm? It's been ready since a long time ago. Song Tingyu rolled her eyes at him. I didn't ask anyone to inform you because I didn't want to disturb you too. A pause later, she passed 2 letters to Qin Lai with an unfathomable look in her eyes. One of them belongs to Terminator Sect, and the other Blood Fiend Sect. The messengers say that you must be the one to open them. Qin Lai accepted the letters, tore them open and gave them a look without a second thought. A while later, an odd look entered his eyes. He looked obviously pained about something. Let me guess. Song Tingyu said slowly and calmly. They want you to marry Xinyu and Xue Moyan, don't they? How did you know? Qin Lai looked surprised. Song Tingyu let out a snort and curled her lips. Senior Mo has been wishing for this since a long time ago. Flaming Sun Island is growing stronger and stronger, so it's only natural that she wants to pull the 2 forces closer through this method. The same goes for Terminator Sect. Qin Lai gripped the letters and pondered for a moment. Then he answered, I'll turn them down. A gleam passed through Song Tingyu's eyes. She said softly, I will support your decision, no matter what you decide. How are things lately? He changed the subject. Everything's peaceful and normal. unless you want to count Heavenly Sword Mountain, Celestial Artifact Sect, and 10,000 Beast Mountain, hunting the 3 ghoul races. Song Tingyu smiled. Jiang Zhuzhe and Senior Shueli had already moved to Heavenly Calamity Continent. I've also sent our men to take over the land given to us by the 3 forces. I can't believe that Scarlet Tide Continent is ours now. Qin Lai sighed. Song Tingyu smiled brightly. It feels unreal to me too. Half a month ago, she took some time off to visit Profound Heaven Alliance at Scarlet Tide Continent. At the time, Song Yu, Xiaoyang and the others had already heard news from Heavenly Sword Mountain that Scarlet Tide Continent was to obey Flaming Sun Island from now on. That wasn't all. Flowing Cloud Continent and Heavenly Fate Continent fell under Flaming Sun Island's jurisdiction as well. When Song Yu, Xiaoyang and other Profound Heaven Alliance members saw Song Tingyu again, they were all pleasantly surprised. They could never imagine that Song Tingyu had become a real person in charge in Flaming Sun Island just 10 years after she left Profound Heaven Alliance. What shocked them even more was the fact that Flaming Sun Island was now so strong that even Heavenly Sword Mountain had to bow before them. Even now, Song Tingyu couldn't help but feel amused when she recalled the pride and gratified look on Song Yu's face. "It's been a while since we saw Miss Ye," Qin Lai said suddenly. Song Tingyu shot him a deep glance before saying meaningfully, "When you vanished from the land of chaos 3 years ago, she suddenly decided to return to Profound Heaven Alliance. After that, she traveled to the southern side of Scarlet Tide Continent. I didn't see her when I returned to Profound Heaven Alliance half a month ago either." "Oh," Qin Lai nodded. He wasn't sure what to say. "I'm going back to Soul Summoning Island and Baluo Realm. I'll deliver that batch of spirit materials to the ancient beast race. The spirit materials are all at Soul Summoning Island already. You can depart at any time," Song Tingyu said. "Okay." He teleported directly to Evil Infant Island from Flaming Sun Island. Just as he was about to fly to Soul Summoning Island, he suddenly remembered something. He recalled Lin Lianger of Frost Island. He also recalled Tong Xinjin saying that Lin Lianger was about to reach rank 8. Tong Xinjin wanted him to protect her while she was ascending to the next rank. After thinking for a moment, he changed directions and flew to Frost Island first. The moment he arrived at Frost Island, he circulated the frost arts and adjusted to the harsh, icy environment immediately. When he arrived at the Frost Palace at the mountain peak where Lin Lianger was cultivating, he released his soul consciousness and exposed himself of his own volition. Not long after, Bai Li rushed over and smiled the moment she saw him. "You're pretty famous as of late. How do you find the time to come to Frost Island?" "I'm here to meet a friend." Qin Lai smiled. "Let's go. Miss Lin is inside the Frost Palace." Bai Li guided him forwards. "Do you have any news about Gaoyu?" Qin Lai casually asked the question. Bai Li's eyes sparkled once before she answered, "Gaoyu has been staying together with Jia Yu all this time. Is Gaoyu in any trouble?" Qin Lai asked further. "Maybe they'll seek me out here in the near future," Bai Li said. "What's wrong?" Qin Lai frowned. "The Eastern barbarians are very xenophobic, and the white barbarians are even more so. They didn't like the idea that Jia Yu and Gaoyu are together too much." Bai Li sighed. "Jia Yu has already made up her mind to leave the white barbarians just like I did. She will be coming to the land of chaos with Gaoyu. Please inform me when Gaoyu returns." Qin Lai asked her for a favor. "No problem," Bai Li promised. She brought Qin Lai to the entrance of the Frost Palace where Lin Lianger was cultivating. Then, she stopped and motioned for Qin Lai to enter herself. For the past few years, she had been managing Frost Island on Lin Lianger's behalf. She was also responsible for interacting with the martial practitioners who cultivated the Frost-type powers at Frost Island. Lin Lianger herself had taught her some secrets about the Frost powers too. These martial practitioners who were cultivating at Frost Island had no idea that the Frost Palaces still existed beneath the icy mountain range. Qin Lai walked through an icy passage with icicles hanging on the ceiling and entered the Frost Palace built by the Ice Emperor himself. He immediately saw Lin Lianger in her true form standing beneath the Frost Palace and above the celestial ice crystal veins. Lin Lianger in her true form was about 30 meters long. She looked like she was sculpted from ice and crystals, and she was dazzlingly beautiful. When her wings that looked like rows of icy bars extended, streams of cold air flowed around like ice rivers. The instant Qianlai showed up, the ice phoenix opened her icy, sharp eyes. However, the harsh cold behind her eyes lasted for only an instant before it faded away. She extended her wings, flew into the air and shrank bit by bit into an ice sphere. The ice sphere abruptly shattered, and her flawless human body slowly landed on top of the celestial ice crystal veins. She didn't seem to have the habit of putting on her clothes when she was inside the Frost Palace. She greeted him naturally. "You've come, Amen. I have been quite busy for a while." Qianlai explained before asking, "Aren't you going to put on some clothes?" "Why should I?" Lin Lianger asked. "Because I'm here?" Qianlai smiled wryly. "What's wrong? Haven't you seen me naked already?" Lin Lianger looked at him strangely. "You've seen everything there is to see anyway, so why should I continue to hide myself? Besides, this is my palace. I don't like to wear clothes when there are no outsiders present." Based on her words, she obviously didn't think of Qianlai as an outsider. Qianlai was speechless. Tong Jinjin said that you currently have control over a secret realm entrance that leads to a place called Baluo Realm. Apparently, a lot of ancient beast clansmen live in that place. Is that true? Lin Lianger asked. Qianlai nodded. That's right. I plan to go to Baluo Realm in a moment. I want to go too, Lin Lianger said. Qianlai frowned and thought for a moment. He said, there are 3 suns during Baluo Realm's daytime. It's incredibly hot, and I'm not sure if you can get used to it. It will be difficult, but I will endure it. I just want to ask about some things from the old people of the ancient beast race. Lin Lianger explained. The Ice Phoenix race is a sub-branch of the ancient beast race too. The realm we lived in used to be very near to the Vermilion Bird's realm, and we were allies with each other for many generations. Very well, I will bring you to Baluo Realm, Soul Summoning Island in front of the Obsidian Palace. Gu Rongguang led 6 of his closest subordinates, each holding a bag full of spatial rings. Those spatial rings contained the spirit materials that had to be given to the ancient beast race. When Qianlai and Lin Lianger came to the secret realm entrance, Gu Rongguang stilled. Another beautiful woman, island master, sure doesn't lack women, Gu Rongguang thought. Should we open the secret realm entrance? Eddie asked from the side. Wait a moment. Qianlai shook his head. La Pu walked forward and handed 2 half-transparent jade bottles the size of a thumb to Qianlai. He said softly, the effects will be relatively strong. Be careful. Qianlai stilled and asked, what is this? 2 drops of Silver Streak Heavenly Snake Blood Essence. La Pu grinned and laughed. These 2 drops of blood will be of great help to the transformation of your bloodline. Qianlai immediately understood. Should I consume it in any particular way? Just use your blood to merge with it. La Pu thought and then said, when you start the process, it would be best to have someone by your side to take care of you. Qianlai nodded. An hour later, Su Ran and Tong Zhenjin, who received Qianlai's message, came over from Terminator Sect. We waited a long time for you. Su Ran saw Qianlai and said, we knew you were busy, so we didn't try to rush you. Fortunately, you didn't make us wait for too long. Let's go as soon as possible, Tong Zhenjin said urgently. Eddie looked at Tong Zhenjin and then looked at Lin Lianger. As though he saw their identities, he said, boy, you sure have many friends. As he talked, he activated the secret realm entrance. Without a delay, the group entered. In the blink of an eye, they appeared in Baluo Realm. Baluo Realm was in nighttime, 6 moons hanging like silver plates in the sky and giving off clean, cold moonlight. As the streaks of moonlight fell, the silver moon mark on Qianlai's shoulder glittered and caused even more of the silvery moonlight to rain down. 6 moons. Su Ran was shocked. Tong Zhenjin and Lin Lianger were coming to Baluo Realm for the first time. They had intoxicated expressions as they looked at the beautiful night sky. The world spirit energy contains moon power. This may be of great benefit to those who cultivate special arts. Su Ran took a deep breath. He evaluated, however, for normal human martial practitioners, This might not be suitable for cultivation. Island Master, there is something you may want to note, Gu Rongguang suddenly said. Qin Lai looked at him and said, Speak. If Senior Lu can cultivate in Baluo Realm's night, he may be able to quickly stabilize his realm. The nighttime here is especially suited to him. Pausing, Gu Rongguang also said, The day of Baluo Realm is also an excellent cultivation place for Senior Flame Demon. Yes, Qin Lai, this place is very suited for Lu Yi who cultivates the arts of the moon-worshipping cult, Su Ran said. When 3 suns rise into the sky, it will be perfect for the vermilion bird race. Similarly, this period will also be extremely beneficial to martial practitioners cultivating fire spirit arts, Tong Zhenjin said. Qin Lai's eyes suddenly lit up. He realized that if he could have his own territory in Baluo Realm, he could arrange for Lu Yi and Tang Beidou to come over. The cruel environment of Baluo Realm was a nightmare to the races of Nether Realm, but was the dream of selected martial practitioners. I will pay attention to this, he planned inside. The group flew out of the cave where the secret realm door was and landed at the base of the mountain. Boy, you came back so quickly. Tung Yuan's voice came from the distance. When he finished speaking, he appeared in front of them. Su Ran saw Tung Yuan and his expression suddenly changed. He exclaimed softly, A rank 9 ancient beast race senior. Tong Zhenjin of the Vermilion Bird race greets Milord. Lin Lianger of the Ice Phoenix race greets Milord. Tong Zhenjin and Lin Lianger immediately greeted him with the etiquette of the ancient beast race when they saw Teng Yuan. Tung Yuan's expression changed slightly. He shouted, You are a Vermilion Bird and an Ice Phoenix who live in the spirit realm? Tong Zhenjin had a bitter expression. She shook his head and said, No. She glanced at Gu Rongguang and the others. Tung Yuan understood, nodded and said, Allow me to first take care of this matter. Gu Rongguang was astounded when he heard Lin Lianger and Tong Zhenjin reveal their identities. Then he bowed his head, docilely taking out the spirit materials that Baluo Realm needed from the spatial rings. 7 mountains of spirit materials gradually formed and filled this relatively large mountain valley. Large numbers of ancient beast clansmen came, roaring and snarling, as they took away those spirit materials. Return first, Qin Lai ordered. Gu Rongguang bowed and returned first with the group. In the end, Su Ran was the only human left in the mountain valley other than Qin Lai. He is my husband. Tong Zhenjin pointed at Su Ran. Teng Yuan nodded and then said, Why have you come? We need to find the rank 9 Vermilion Bird, Tong Zhenjin said. Tong Yuan is over with the flame race. Tong Yuan thought and then said, She and Nivet are attacking the flame race. Could you take us there? Tong Zhenjin requested. All right, Teng Yuan agreed. A bright yellow shield of light flew out of Tong Zhenjin's hand. The shield spun and wrapped around Qin Lai, Tong Zhenjin and Su Ran. This shield of light ignored Baluo Realm's terrifying gravity and suddenly flew into the sky at a dazzling speed. Inside that bright yellow shield, Qin Lai saw mountain ranges pass him like trees. He knew they were getting further from the territory of the ancient beast race. 2 hours later, the bright yellow shield of light slowed. Qin Lai saw volcanoes erupting with lava in the distance, and many flame clansmen with wisps of flame dancing on their skin roaring angrily as they fought against the ancient beast race. In the darkness, that place appeared to be burning. Lava flowed on the ground in rivers, and explosions occurred all over the places. The vermilion birds spun in the air like suns in the nighttime sky and caused the sky to become a crimson sea of fire. A qilin, a giant snake, and an enormous lizard roared as they pursued the members of the flame race. Those flame clansmen fought back fiercely using the lava rivers. Qin Lai looked down at the battle between the races through the bright yellow barrier, his expression turning grave. This battle was much more cruel than the battle which occurred between the Setting Sun Islands and the ghoul races. Many flame clansmen were torn to pieces by the ancient beasts. Other ancient beasts were drowned by the lava and soon turned into crimson-red skeletons. The flame race wasn't strong in Baluo Realm. Ever since they joined Sun Palace, they slowly grew in strength. Tung Yuan's voice resounded. In the last 1,000 years, with the help of Sun Palace, the flame race slowly eroded our territory. Many ancient beast clansmen were burned and killed by the clansmen of the flame race. The martial practitioners of Sun Palace frequently came and helped the flame race kill us, and caused us to suffer great casualties. If not for the secret realm entrance of Sun Palace and Lunar Temple being destroyed in succession, we most likely would not have dared to attack the flame race. So your days were not easy either, Tong Xinjin said. Ever since humans discovered the Baluo realm and built secret realm passageways, we have never had peaceful a day. Tang Yuan sighed. The vermilion bird race has been forced to leave the realm we were living when the humans invaded. Tong Xinjin's expression was calm. The ice phoenix race was first invaded by the god race, and then the humans used an even more savage method to almost destroy that realm. What about the ancient beast realm? Tang Yuan asked gravely. The ancient beast clansmen that married with humans control the ancient beast realm, and they have completely fallen, to the point of being completely obedient to humans. Tong Xinjin's expression was bitter. We cannot even return there. Tang Yuan took a deep breath and said, back then when the races allied together and finally forced the god race back into outer space, we did not expect the humans to quickly rise and become even more terrifying than the god race. There are too many of them. When the god race invaded our realm back then, they could not find enough members to settle. The humans are different. When they take over a realm, they can arrange enough people to completely take over the realm. Tong Xinjin sighed. We have less and less space to live in. The members of my race are scattered throughout spirit realm and do not dare to show their true forms. If we are found by the humans, we will be treated like valuable spirit materials by them. The present humans are not different in their practices from the god race in the past. They are even more domineering in some places. Tang Yuan grunted. Qin Lai heard what Tang Yuan and Tong Xinjin said, but did not express any opinion. He had the god race bloodline and he was also human. He was both of the races the ancient beast race disliked. Naturally, he would not stick his head out. Su Ran had an awkward expression. Hearing Tang Yuan point out the human race's shortcomings, he had no words to argue back. He had once been in contact with human forces in Spirit Realm's central world. He knew that Tang Yuan and Tong Xinjin were correct about the humans. He knew what methods the gold rank forces in Central World used against the foreign races who still held to their morals. Whoosh! A crimson light flew out of Qin Lai's brow. The flame turned into the miniature fire Qilin. The fire-type spirit of void and chaos seemed to feel the delicious scent of the flame race grounds and flew out of the soul-suppressing orb. Under Qin Lai's gaze, the fire spirit of void and chaos suddenly descended towards the biggest volcano crater. Near the volcano, the rank 9 vermilion bird Tong Yen was fighting against a tall and large flame clansman. The flames which rose up burned the firmament. That was the hottest place in the flame race lands. The fire spirit of void and chaos suddenly flew into the volcano as Tong Yen and that flame race expert fought. Tang Yuan exclaimed and stopped conversing with Tong Xinjin. He put away the yellow shield that had been protecting everyone. Qin Lai and the others started to floating in Baluo Realm's nighttime sky under their own power. Was that a fire element spirit of void and chaos? Tang Yuan asked. Qin Lai nodded and mentally contacted the fire spirit. He asked, is there something special about that volcano? He noticed the rank 9 vermilion bird Tong Yen constantly attempted to charge into the core of that volcano. The powerful flame clansman fighting Tong Yen was guarding the entrance, preventing her from entering. That volcano is the life fire source for the flame race. Tang Yuan's expression was grave as he explained, the members of the flame race must ignite their soul fire in the heart of that volcano if they want to enter their chaos blood realm. Of course, I don't know how the flame race ignites their soul fire. Different races have their own secrets. I only know that Tong Yen wanted to enter there many years ago. She wants to cultivate within the life fire source of the flame race. At this time, Qin Lai saw the scene inside the volcano through the soul connection with the fire spirit. The life fire source at the center of the volcano was an enormous lake of lava. Its surface burned furiously, and crimson-red crystals would occasionally float it out. Those crystals had 3 shiny spots inside which released sun-like beams of light. When the fire spirit entered the volcano, it immediately leapt into the lava lake and began consuming these crystals. Tong Yen and the flame race expert who were fighting seemed to detect something and charged in. 2 powerful soul consciousnesses permeated into the heart of the volcano and charged towards the soul of the fire spirit. The fire spirit who was devouring the crystals was attacked by the 2 terrifying consciousnesses and seemed unable to withstand it. He suddenly turned intangible. Before Tong Yen and that flame race expert could find him, he disappeared and flew out. Almost at the same time, a mental thought from the fire spirit came to Qin Lai. It wanted Qin Lai's lifeblood essence. Qin Lai stilled. Without a second thought, he released the droplets of lifeblood essence he had painstakingly refined. His lifeblood essence floated around him. Whoosh! The fire spirit appeared again in the shape of the fire Qilin and swallowed half of Qin Lai's lifeblood essences. Then, the fire spirit quickly hid into the soul-suppressing orb. Inside the volcano, the roars of the flame race expert shook the earth as though the most precious thing of the flame race had been stolen by the fire spirit. The other flame race experts who had been fighting the ancient beast race heard their clansmen's angry shouts and gathered from all over. They all approached the heart of that enormous volcano. Of the members of the ancient beast race, only the vermilion birds did not fear the flames and could tolerate the high temperature near that volcano. When the members of the flame race all came to the mouth of the volcano, the ancient beasts could only stand by. Even Nivet could not go near that volcano out of innate dislike for heat. The vermilion birds were not able to defeat the flame race gathered like that. Therefore, Tong Yen also flew out of the mouth of the volcano, disheveled. Immediately after, the ancient beasts which had been attacking the flame race under Nivet and Tong Yen's orders started to gradually leave. The rank 9 vermilion bird Tong Yen sobbed as she came towards Qin Lai. Tong Yen! Teng Yuan shouted. Tong Zhenzhen greets my lord. Tong Yen! What happened? Nivet shouted. Burning vermilion birds flew from the surroundings and surrounded Qin Lai. Tong Yen manifested into human form and glared angrily at Qin Lai. How did you steal the life flame crystal? Life flame crystal? Qin Lai rubbed his nose and said, It was my fire spirit. He is a fire spirit of void and chaos. Just now. He seemed to have left for a moment. A fire spirit of void and chaos. Tong Yen was astounded. Qin Lai nodded. I need 3 drops of his blood to make up for my losses. Tong Yen snorted. What is the life flame crystal? Qin Lai asked in response. An extremely rare kind of crystal. They may even create flame-shaped life inside. The flame race calls it the fire of life. The flame clansmen can use the life flame crystals to reignite their soul fire after dying in battle by using the secret arts of the flame race. Tong Yan's expression was not good. For the flame clansman, 1 piece of life flame crystal can bring a powerful clansman back to life. This is also of great benefit to my bloodline. I've been trying to get the life flame crystal for many years. When he finishes evolving, I will have him give you 3 drops of blood. Qin Lai laughed awkwardly. When the fire spirit hid into the soul-suppressing orb, his joy and excited emotions caused Qin Lai to realize that the fire spirit most likely would reach the next rank through the life flame crystal. Something that could cause the spirit of void and chaos to level up in a short amount of time was most likely extremely rare. It was clear that the life flame crystal that could revive the experts of the flame race was the ultimate treasure that the fire spirit dreamed about. I worked for nothing for so long. Tong Yen was full of dissatisfaction. Lord, I am. Tong Zhenzhen introduced herself again. I have no connections to the vermilion bird race. I don't care who you are. When I left the vermilion bird realm back then, I swore I would not return. Tong Yen said impatiently. Lord, even if you wanted to return, you most likely wouldn't be able to. Tong Zhenzhen laughed bitterly and explained, Our vermilion bird realm has been conquered by the humans' 6 Ways Alliance. All vermilion birds have fled the vermilion bird realm. The vermilion bird realm was occupied? Shock appeared on Tong Yan's red cheeks. She obviously found the news a bit hard to swallow. For the past couple tens of thousands of years or so, she had been acting as leader to her people in Boluo realm. She very rarely paid attention to the changes in the outside world. But because Lunar Temple and Sun Palace had built secret realm entrances to Boluo realm, some news from the central world of Spirit realm still reached her ears. The Vermilion Bird realm she left was even hotter and unbearable than Boluo realm was, so she didn't think that the human martial practitioners of Six Ways Alliance could get used to the harsh environment of Vermilion Bird realm. The Vermilion Bird realm increases the Vermilion Bird race's strength by at least 30%, and it's filled with volcanoes and seas of fire. How could the human race possibly take over the Vermilion Bird realm? Milord, I guess you truly have been ignorant of the central world of Spirit realm for too long. Tong Zhenjin sighed before explaining. A new faction has joined the Six Ways Alliance, and this force is called Blue Flame Manor. It is a sub-rank 1 gold rank force. Every human martial practitioner in Blue Flame Manor cultivates the power of fire, and it is rumored that the Prefecture Lord of Blue Flame Manor had obtained part of the Flame Emperor's inheritance and cultivated it all the way to a 6th-level soul altar. As a result, the Fire Crystal Wall was destroyed by the combined force of Six Ways Alliance and Blue Flame Manor, ultimately leaving the Vermilion Bird realm under their occupation. Today, our home had become Blue Flame Manor's precious cultivation ground. Those human martial practitioners who are well-versed in the power of fire now consider our Vermilion Bird realm their home. Blue Flame Manor, Tong Yen exclaimed through gritted teeth. Although she had left Vermilion Bird realm for many years, she was ultimately a part of the Vermilion Bird race. She suddenly felt angry when she heard that the Vermilion Bird realm was occupied by an invader, and the rest of the Vermilion Birds had been chased away from their homes. Qin Lai listened calmly to their conversation. The conflicts and wars between races had never stopped for even a second throughout this vast galaxy. At the beginning, the human race was weak and bullied by all races in Spirit realm. They were treated as food by the ghoul races and offered as live sacrifices when the powerful ancient races were praying to their ancestors. Thousands and tens of thousands of humans would be slaughtered in just a single ceremony. When the god race was powerful, they devastated the world and forced the 100 races of Spirit realm to submit to them. After the 100 races had chased them away, they too devastated the world in turn and stayed arrogant for a very long time. In the present, the human race was starting to erode the 100 races' power and take over their territories and living space. Right now, any races who were weak would quickly become the target of powerful races. The conflict between races would never end. After experiencing so many things, Qin Lai slowly accepted and understood the cruel law of the jungle of this world. Qin Lai, you are very close with the races of Nether Realm, aren't you? Tong Zhenjin suddenly asked. The appearance of Luz and the Dark Shadow clansmen, and the presence of La Pu in Soul Summoning Island were all proof that Qin Lai shared a connection with the Nether Realm. When she used her connections in Terminator Sect and investigated a little, she even learned that Qin Lai and the Horned Demon race had gotten in touch with each other since a long time ago. All these signs proved that Qin Lai and the races of Nether Realm shared an unusual relationship with each other. That's right. Qin Lai didn't deny it. He smiled before asking, why the sudden question? Blue Flame Manor has been encroaching onto the Nether continent as of late. For the past few years, they had clashed multiple times against the denizens of the Nether continent. Tong Zhenjin paused for a second and watched Qin Lai's expression carefully and deeply. She saw a frown suddenly springing to Qin Lai's eyebrows. I heard that the Queen of the Dark Nether race has shown up in the Nether continent, and she is currently commanding the Horned Demon race and the Dark Shadow race to fight against Blue Flame Manor. Tong Zhenjin continued. Qin Lai's face slowly darkened. She isn't doing well. Tong Zhenjin let out a quiet sigh. How so? Qin Lai asked of his own volition. There are 3 great races in Nether Realm. The Horned Demon race and the Dark Shadow race believe her to be the Queen of the Dark Nether race and support her. Tong Zhenjin's tone took a sudden turn. However, the Ghost Eye race doesn't acknowledge her status and identity. They say that she is a mixed blood between the human race and the Dark Nether race, so she is unqualified to lead the 3 great races. Right now, the Ghost Eye race is the strongest force in Nether Realm, but not only did they not send experts to aid her in the battle for the Nether continent, They even trip her at every turn and prevent her from obtaining the rich resources of Nether Realm. Nether Realm is a precious ground that is famed for all kinds of rare spirit materials. One of them is the profound Nether Sea, and the other is the Nine-Soul Hell. Both these precious lands are currently controlled by the Ghost Eye race. Since the Ghost Eye race didn't give her access to these lands, she is unable to obtain a large amount of spirit materials that can improve the strength of the Horned Demon race and the Dark Shadow race. The Dark Nether clansmen beneath her are unable to cultivate properly and give her their full support too. This is internal trouble they're facing. The external trouble is, of course, Blue Flame Manor. Blue Flame Manor is situated near the Nether continent. 3,000 years ago, they were almost eliminated by the denizens of Nether Realm, so they've been bearing a grudge for a very long time. Today, Blue Flame Manor had transformed into a sub-rank 1 gold rank force and allied themselves with Six Ways Alliance. They are only stronger compared to the Nether continent, who had lost all 5 of their demon gods. I heard that the Queen of the Dark Nether race had suffered serious injuries during the latest skirmish. Tong Xinjin didn't say anything more after this. She simply stared at him deeply. She could see clearly the flames of anger running inside Qin Lai's eyes. She immediately knew that the Queen of the Dark Nether race, who was currently protecting the Nether continent, was in fact the Ling Yushi, who vanished from Scarlet Tide continent back then. Members of the Ling family who were shunned by Profound Heaven Alliance and 8 Extreme Temple were actually the Dark Nether clansmen who were currently protected by the Horned Demon race and Dark Shadow race at the Nether continent. They were the royal family of the Nether Realm. Qin Lai, we have the same enemy, Tong Xinjin said. I may not necessarily lose to a 6th-level soul altar human expert. Tong Yen snorted. But Blue Flame Manor is also supported by Six Ways Alliance. Tong Xinjin sighed. Tong Yan's expression changed suddenly as she fell silent. There is something that I've been meaning to ask since a while ago. Tong Xinjin looked at Qin Lai. Su Ran, silent all this time, also turned to look at Qin Lai with deep, complicated emotion behind his eyes. What do you wish to know? Qin Lai asked solemnly. 300 years ago, the Qin family who ruled the central world of Spirit Realm had suddenly killed many Ninth Heaven martial practitioners. The battle quickly spread to every domain and drew the attention of Reincarnation sect, Starry Hall, Six Ways Alliance, the Ao family, and the Lu family. The 5 top-rate gold rank forces and Ninth Heaven had worked together to fight against the Qin family. Although the Qin family was strong, they were ultimately no match for all 6 gold rank forces combined. In the end, the patriarch of the Qin family, Qin Hao, lost his soul altar and had vanished since. The giant that was the Qin family also crumbled as a result. Tong Xinjin paused for a moment before continuing. Rumor says that the source of this conflict is the death of Qin Hao's only son, Qin Lai, by the hands of Han Qian of Ninth Heaven. Are you related to that Qin Lai in any way? No, I don't know him. That's a thing from 300 years ago, and it has nothing to do with me. Qin Lai shook his head. Oh, I see. Tong Xinjin's dragged voice indicated her clear disbelief of his words. I simply thought that the Nether continent may not need to fear Six Ways Alliance if they really are connected to the Qin family. Although the Qin family had crumbled way back, a starved camel is still larger than a horse. It is rumored that a lot of Qin family experts had hidden themselves in other realms, including the former patriarch of the Qin family. When she was conversing with Qin Lai, Tong Yen, Tang Yuan, Nivit, and the other ancient beasts were all staring at Qin Lai with puzzlement. These rank 9 experts of the ancient beast race could see from Qin Lai's eyes that he wasn't telling the truth, but they didn't expose him. Let's put our matters with the flame race on a temporary hold. Would you like to take your discussion back to our place? Teng Yuan asked. Tong Yen and Nivit nodded in unison. Many ancient beast clansmen left the flame race's domain under the 3 leaders' orders. Qin Lai had also returned to the secret realm entrance with them. When he returned to the ancient beast race territory, he waited alone in the cave entrance where the secret realm entrance was, while Tong Zhenjin, Lin Lianger, and the rank 9 vermilion bird chatted with one another. Time passed by quickly. When the 9 moons appeared in Baluo realm once more, He walked out of the cave and bathed himself beneath pure moonlight. The silver moon mark on his shoulder glowed and drew the essence of the moonlight into itself. When he probed the mark with his consciousness, he could see that the 9 little moons in his mark were spinning and greedily absorbing moon energy into themselves. He took out the unique blood Nivet had refined using his blood essence and hesitated for a moment. However, he ultimately decided against absorbing and refining it. Nivet was nearby, so he was worried that the blood's aura would alert Nivet to lose his deception and draw unnecessary trouble to lose. He decided to refine the 2 droplets into his bloodline as soon as he returned to the ruined lands. Xianxia sat quietly and sensed the way the moon tear spun inside the silver moon mark under the moonlight. The holy artifact of inheritance the serene moon race called the moon tear looked like teardrops as they glowed dimly at the center of the ancient spirit diagram of the silver moon mark. While observing the moon tear, he also looked up towards the night sky of Boluo realm again and again. A total of 9 teardrops were inside the moon tear. They seemed to be connected to the 9 moons of Boluo realm somehow. An idea entered his mind, and the 9 glowing teardrops flew out of the silver moon mark. The slowly hovering and spinning moon tear in front of his chest looked very beautiful. When he looked at the 9 teardrops closely, he could see many tiny and obscured ancient runes above moon tear. They were unique characters of the serene moon race. He skimmed through the 9 great secret arts of the serene moon race in his mind. He could use moon moves, sky falls to control moon tear, but every other secret art and technique required the serene moon race's bloodline to execute. He tried executing these secret arts, but the powers he formed inside his body were as useless as he expected. "It's worthless," he muttered softly. "You say it's worthless because you don't know the true value of the moon tear." Suddenly, a vague soul thought appeared from the 9 teardrops. Xianxia abruptly stood up and exclaimed in surprise, "Who are you?" Threads of moonlight flew out of the 9 teardrops and gathered together to form a white, blurry figure. The white shadow was made of pure moon energy. His face was blurry like a ghost's. When Xianxia probed it with his consciousness, though, he noticed that the shadow had a soul in it. He immediately knew that this shadow was an intelligent life. "Who am I?" The shadow flickered like a candle flame in the wind. It looked like it would disappear at any moment. "I am the chief of the serene moon race. I am the moon god worshipped by moon-worshipping cult. I am the soul that was refined into the moon tear and turned into an artifact soul by your orb, alive." "You're the moon demon?" Xianxia turned pale. Once upon a time, this soul was the culprit who killed countless soul altar experts and toppled moon-worshipping cult in a single night. It was the demon that was once sealed inside the moon crown. "Call me whatever you wish, but I am just the artifact soul of moon tear right now. The orb in your glabella has imprinted many terrible restrictions all the way to my soul origin. These restrictions tied my very life to yours, so I will instantly disappear into nothingness if your soul were to be extinguished." The soul's voice seemed to tremble when it spoke of the soul-suppressing orb. It seemed to be deathly afraid of the soul-suppressing orb's terrible methods. You haven't appeared before. Why have you chosen to come out today?" Xianxia had secretly gathered the power of thunder and lightning in his body. The second the moon demon did something funny, he would immediately strike it with his powers. Thunder was the bane of all souls. Not even the moon demon should be able to resist it since it was just a soul right now. When I was transformed into an artifact soul at the beginning, my soul was incredibly weakened. Right now I am getting used to this new state of existence bit by bit. The moon demon's soul thoughts reached him. It explained slowly. "The final step of this artifact refinement cannot be considered complete unless the moon tear absorbs enough moon energy." "I see." Xianxia took 2 steps backwards and put some distance between himself and the moon demon. Then he asked, "Why have you appeared of your own accord now?" The moon demon fell quiet for a very long time. Pure moonlight spilled down from the 9 moons of Boluo realm like 9 streams and entered the moon demon's body. It was as if the moon demon couldn't maintain its existence without them. "My actual name is Yu Yi. I am the current chief of the serene moon race, and I was the owner of moon tear until you appeared. The moon demon pondered for a moment before starting slowly. The serene moon race lived in a place known as the Dark Moon Realm. It was even further away from Spirit Realm than Boluo Realm is, and it was closed to all travelers for many years already. We seldom interacted with the outside world. The Serene Moon Race chief, who called himself Yu Yi, began explaining how Dark Moon Realm came to perish in the past. Dark Moon Realm was incredibly far away from Spirit Realm. Not even the God Race had built a space passage to Dark Moon Realm back when they still ruled over Spirit Realm. For the longest time, Yu Yi and many Serene Moon clansmen lived in peace without being influenced by the invasion of the God Race or the human race after they became powerful. That lasted until the day a strange, shadow-like life form entered Dark Moon Realm and flooded the place entirely in just a short time. This strange race took no prisoners. The Serene Moon clansmen in Dark Moon Realm died in droves. Their souls were devoured by this strange race and turned into food. Yu Yi led his entire race to war against this race, but they were slaughtered without being able to resist in the slightest. In the end, Yu Yi took his remaining people away from Dark Moon Realm and journeyed aimlessly amongst the unknown stars. They found a dead moon star at the end of their journey. His people landed there and struggled to survive inside its caves while Yu Yi used a secret art to send his soul into space. Slowly, he attached his soul onto a moon and worked hard to find a new realm that could accommodate his people. It was there he sensed a tremendous soul energy when the moon-worshipping cult was offering sacrifices to the moon. He called himself the Moon God and made a connection with the soul altar experts of moon-worshipping cult. He encouraged the cult members to build a moon altar unique to the Serene Moon Race and tried to open a passage to Spirit Realm. He wanted to lead his people into Spirit Realm. In the end, his soul successfully descended in Spirit Realm. The moon altar required a large amount of souls to power, so he slaughtered the soul altar experts of the moon-worshipping cult to fulfill the moon altar's need. Unfortunately, the combined resistance of a dozen or so moon-worshipping cult soul altar experts actually dealt him a severe blow. Even his soul was sealed away by the moon-worshipping cult's holy artifact, Moon Crown. He failed to escape Spirit Realm. After moon-worshipping cult was gone, and after Helian Zhang and He Chen came up with a devious scheme to kill Lui and rob him of the Moon Crown, he gathered a small number of former moon-worshipping cult cultists and founded Turin Cave. After that, Helian Zhang and He Chen tried to unseal the Moon Crown. After Yu Ye's soul was released from the Moon Crown, he learned from his past mistakes and adjusted his methods. Plus, Helian Zhang and He Chen were too weak. Even if he did kill them, their souls weren't powerful enough to activate the moon altar. That was why he didn't kill He Chen and Helian Zhang. Instead, he taught Helian Zhang some fragmentary Serene Moon Race secret arts and encouraged him and his people to gather the souls of experts for him. La Pu fell for Helian Zhang, He Chen, and Dong Cheng's trap because of his orders. Lu Yi was Turin Cave's next target. But because Qin Lai had the soul-suppressing orb, Yu Yi was absorbed into the spirit artifact despite having absolute advantage on top of possessing the moon tier. Inside the soul-suppressing orb, he vaguely sensed that his soul and the moon tier were being tempered by the spirit artifact. When he awakened and regained full consciousness, he finally realized that he had become moon tier's artifact soul and moon tier had become a divine-grade spirit artifact. You're saying that Moon Tier wasn't originally a divine-grade spirit artifact, and it didn't have an artifact soul. Qin Lai instantly grasped the strangest thing of the matter after Yu Yi was done with his explanation. Moon Tier was evolved into a divine-grade spirit artifact after it was tempered by the soul-suppressing orb. That's right. Moon Tier was just a holy artifact of inheritance at the beginning. In reality, its powers are quite limited, and it is at best a heaven-grade spirit artifact if we were to grade it by the artifact grading standard of Spirit Realm. Yu Yi said confidently. After the orb had been refined, and my soul had merged into one with Moon Tier, it evolved into a divine-grade spirit artifact. What realm were you back then? Qin Lai asked again. I was one step away from constructing the 7th level of my soul altar, Yu Yi said proudly. Pitiful, Qin Lai ridiculed him. Yu Ye's soul seemed to tremble with agitation under the night sky. However, he quickly regained his cool. I want to make a deal with you, Yu Yi suddenly said. Speak. Qin Lai replied calmly. Help the Serene Moon Race. Help transfer my trapped clansmen to the Serene Moon Race in Baluo Realm, and teach the secret arts and inheritances you can't use to the Serene Moon Race branch in Baluo Realm, so they may survive that Black Jail Race's invasion. Yu Yi made his demands before saying, "In return, I will persuade the Serene Moon clansmen to make an ancient oath to submit to the God Race and obey their every whim." Submit to the God Race? Qin Lai looked astonished. The God Race's blood runs within you. If it wasn't so, I wouldn't even bother negotiating with you in the first place. Yu Yi explained, "I hope to return to Dark Moon Realm one day, and the God Race may be the only race that can fight against this terrifying Shadow Race. We cannot avenge our people in the future without the God Race's help." Yu Ye's shadow twisted continuously as he uttered in agitation. Those shadow lifeforms are leaving the dark shadow world and invading the realms bit by bit. They leave behind only death in their wake, and they devour all lifeforms that possess a soul. The speed at which they corrupt the stars is incredibly high. It is only a matter of time before they find Spirit Realm. When that happens, all life in Spirit Realm will have their souls devoured just like Dark Moon Realm. That will be the judgment day of all life in Spirit Realm. Right now, the powerful ancient races living in Spirit Realm are powerless against those things because neither they nor the human race know anything about them. Out of all races in this vast galaxy, the God Race that had developed countless worlds and explored countless realms may be the only one who know about their origin and weakness. When Yu Yi spoke of that race, he was obviously scared to death. And he used to be a late-stage Void Realm expert with a 6th-level soul altar. Dark Shadow World. Qin Lai's expression slowly turned serious. From the God Race's Chaos Blood Realm, he learned that the chief of the Demon Dragon Race, Abrit, was trapped in an unknown realm. That place had no suns, moons, stars, or light. There was only eternal darkness and some shadow lifeforms. That place was the Dark Shadow World. 300 years ago, before he was killed in the central world of Spirit Realm, his father Qianhao was also once trapped inside Dark Shadow World. His father was a Genesis Realm expert and one of the strongest martial practitioners in the central world of Spirit Realm. Dark Shadow World and this Shadow Race are flooding the world. From what I know, Dark Shadow World has the ability to corrupt other realms and transform them into a part of Dark Shadow World. This means that all those worlds that are consumed would become as lightless, lifeless, and desolate as the Dark Shadow World. There would be no light, stars, moons, or stars. There would only be eternal darkness, Yu Yi said in fear. What? The Dark Shadow World can corrupt other realms too? Qin Lai exclaimed. I believe so. That's because Dark Moon Realm underwent such a change not long after the Shadow Race arrived. All of the moonlight in our world had disappeared. Yu Yi sighed deeply. I hope I was wrong. If I wasn't, then Dark Moon Realm was gone forever. I do not represent the God Race. That's why I can't promise you anything or shoulder your responsibility to fight against the Shadow Race. A trace of anxiety entered Qin Lai's mind as he looked at Yu Yi. A great fear towards the Shadow Race and the Dark Shadow World was growing inside his heart. According to Yu Ye's explanation, the shadow lifeforms were corrupting the world bit by bit. Eventually, they would reach Spirit Realm. When these shadow lifeforms reached Spirit Realm, this world where many other races lived might be eradicated by them. Even Spirit Realm itself might be converted into world of eternal darkness with no celestial bodies or light. Yu Ye's depiction of what sounded like the heralding of the apocalypse immediately put him under even more pressure. I hope you can guide the Serene Moon Race, Yu Yi added. We'll talk about this in the future. Qin Lai shook his head and temporarily set his request to a side. I'm going to withdraw the moon tier now. Yu Ye's soul hurriedly slipped back into the 9 moon tiers when he heard this. By now the 9 moons on the sky had reduced to 8. The second half of Baluo Realm's night had begun. A while later, Su Ran, Tong Xinjin, and Lin Lianger walked over while being accompanied by Teng Yuan and his group. Tong Xinjin and Tong Yan's dialogue had also come to an end. Tong Xinjin looked depressed. It seemed like she didn't get the promise she wanted from the rank 9 Vermilion bird. Qin Lai, we were busy attacking the flame race recently, so we didn't have time to gather more spirit materials to trade with you. Nivet chuckled with a wide grin on his face. The next time you show up, I believe that the giant race and the black jail race would want to meet with you personally. Both races wish to trade the spirit materials they have with you. Qin Lai nodded. No problem. Su Ran and Tong Jinjin exchanged a knowing glance with each other. They knew that Qin Lai was earning a huge sum of wealth for Flaming Sun Island through Boluo Realm. The ancient beast race in Boluo Realm obviously trusted Qin Lai a lot. If Qin Lai were to run into some kind of trouble that he couldn't solve in the Land of Chaos, Tang Yuan, Nivet, and the rank 9 Vermilion Bird would even come over personally to save him. If he were to form a business relationship with the giant race and black jail race too, they had no doubt that these two forces would become Flaming Sun Island's allies as well. They would be of great assistance. The duo hid their surprise as they stared at Qin Lai. They knew that the existence of Boluo Realm alone was enough to ensure that no single force in the entire Land of Chaos could suppress Flaming Sun Island. Even if Budo of the Heaven Ghoul race were to recover in the future, he would have to go through Qin Lai first if he wished to ravage the Land of Chaos. I have urgent matters that need attending at the ruined lands. What about you three? Qin Lai asked. We're heading back, of course. Su Ran smiled. Amen. Qin Lai walked towards the secret realm entrance. A few minutes later, the moment they returned from Boluo Realm and appeared in front of the Obsidian Palace, Su Ran asked, about the letter Terminator sect sent you a while ago, the one regarding the marriage. What do you think? A chilly look abruptly colored Lin Liang'er icy pupils. There was no telling if it was directed at Su Ran or Qin Lai. Flaming Sun Island and Terminator sect are close enough that a marriage of convenience is unnecessary, Qin Lai said calmly. Su Ran smiled awkwardly. The marriage isn't just to strengthen our friendship. It's also, in the end, Su Ran wasn't able to talk about Terminator sect's desire to acquire Qin Lai's bloodline. Let's not talk about this ever. Qin Lai shook his head. Su Ran sighed on the inside but didn't say anything more. Not long after, Su Ran and Tong Jinjin bid Qin Lai farewell and informed him that they might impose on him and go to Boluo Realm to look for the three leaders of Boluo Realm. Qin Lai agreed to their request immediately. Lin Liang'er hesitated for a moment. If you're going to fight against Blue Flame Manor in the future, the Vermilion Bird race, the ancient beast race experts, and I will probably help you. Qin Lai's eyes lit up a little as he nodded his acknowledgement. You can always find me at Frost Island. Lin Liang'er also left in silence. It was at this moment La Pu suddenly appeared in a hurry. Qin Lai, have you used the 2 blood droplets I refined for you? He had been around since the beginning and looked very anxious to speak with Qin Lai. However, he waited until Su Ran, Tong Jinjin and Lin Liang'er had left before he finally approached him. They're both still with me. Qin Lai looked astonished. What's wrong? Is there something wrong with the blood? No, they're fine. La Pu inhaled deeply before saying with a serious look on his face. Can you give me one of the blood droplet? I need it for an emergency. Qin Lai took out a drop of blood and passed it to La Pu without hesitation. This blood won't be wasted on an outsider, La Pu said in a strange tone. Qin Lai, we are going to leave the ruined lands immediately and return to Nether Continent. Eddie came from afar and said, we were waiting for you to come back, so we can bid you farewell. After that, we'll depart for the Nether Continent. Has Tate showed up? Qin Lai exclaimed. Eddie nodded slightly before saying, the situation at the Nether Continent isn't going too well, so we need to head there as soon as possible. Otherwise, Eddie didn't continue. Bring me to the 2 commanders. Qin Lai's eyes were stern. Luz was the commander of the Dark Shadow race, and Tate used to be the Horned Demon race's commander. They were both very famous people 3,000 years ago. Eddie shot Qin Lai a surprised look before thinking for a moment. They are both at Soul Summoning Island. After that, Qin Lai was guided to that area covered in thick nether demonic energy by Eddie and La Pu. He met both Luz and Tate. That wasn't all. The Dark Shadow race's soul altar experts such as Yuria were all present as well. The Dark Shadow youths who were arranged at Seven Eye Island were summoned over as well. They were gathered around a larger white bone nether spirit altar. Luz, Tate and the Soul Altar experts wore dark looks on their faces. It caused a heavy atmosphere to hang above the place. When they saw Qianlai, Luz and Tate forced out a smile before Tate said, "I never thought you'd be able to bring the Dark Shadow race back from Baluo realm. At first, I thought that the most you can do is to bring back news of the Dark Shadow race and discuss with us how best to take them home." Tate praised from the bottom of his heart. "You truly are the Venerable One's grandson." He already learned that Qianlai had utterly destroyed Sun Palace and Lunar Temple's secret realm entrances connecting to Baluo realm. He even caused a Void Realm expert who had stepped through the secret realm entrance to be washed away into the chaotic streams of space. There was no telling if that expert was still alive. Sun Palace and Lunar Temple had completely lost contact with Baluo realm. This news had spread out in the central world of Spirit Realm and caused quite a splash. Tate was deeply impressed by Qianlai's ability. When he first sent Qianlai to Baluo realm, he thought it was just part of the Venerable One's plan to protect him from the threats in the Land of Chaos, and to inquire about the Dark Shadow race who had migrated to that place so they could make preparations to take them home in the future. But he never imagined that Qianlai would be able to bring all Dark Shadow clansmen who were living in Baluo realm back to Spirit Realm and destroy the secret realm entrances that connected Baluo realm and the Central World 3 years later. Moreover, Qianlai had also gained the ancient beast race's favor and built a deep friendship with them. It actually felt as if Qianlai had snatched Baluo realm from Sun Palace and Lunar Temple's hands and transformed it into his own private realm. Tate himself didn't believe he could have done what Qianlai did, even if the person who went to Baluo realm 3 years ago was him instead of Qianlai. That changed his impression of Qianlai by a lot. He grew some measure of respect towards him. His respect for Qianlai stemmed not from the fact Qianlai was the Venerable One's grandson, but because he truly deserved this respect. "I'm going with you to the Nether Continent," Qianlai said suddenly. "Did you know that she's hurt?" Lapu exclaimed. When the initial surprise wore off, Qianlai abruptly came to realization. "The refined blood you sought just now is for Yushir? How did you know about this?" Lapu looked astonished. Tate and Luz were secretly surprised too. Nether Continent and the Land of Chaos were pretty far away from each other. It was only possible to enter that place through a super-large spatial teleportation formation. Very few people in the Nether Continent had a connection in the Land of Chaos, so they had no idea how Qianlai managed to obtain news of what was happening in the Nether Continent. "I know that she's the queen of the Dark Nether race, but isn't acknowledged as one by the Ghost Eye race. I also know that Blue Flame Manor is just waiting for an opportunity to harm them." Qianlai calmed down and said, "I have my own information channel. The Venerable One doesn't want you to get involved with the matters of the Nether Continent so soon," Tate said sincerely. "She's hurt, and I want to head over to see her." "What's wrong with that?" Qianlai's face was dark. Though the Nether Continent is situated at the edge of the Central World, that doesn't mean there aren't people from the Central World operating nearby. Blue Flame Manor is one of them, Tate persuaded. "The Venerable One wishes to keep your identity concealed for now. He doesn't want the people of the Central World to learn that you're still alive. That's why he hopes that you can stay at the Land of Chaos until the time is right to send you back to the Central World. I just want to see her. After that, I'll come back to the Land of Chaos," Qianlai said. Tate frowned and looked to be in deep thought. A long while later, Tate finally nodded. "I won't tell the Venerable One about this. Please come back to the Land of Chaos as soon as possible after you see her. I will keep an eye on you and prevent you from leaving the Nether Continent. I won't let you encounter any Central World martial practitioners." Back at Baluo realm, someone from the Central World saw my face. "They didn't recognize me though," Qianlai said. Tate smiled wryly. "That's because the people that saw you at Baluo realm are weak. If you run into a Void Realm or Genesis Realm expert, they can find out your true identity through the origin imprint of your soul, even if you've physically transformed into an ancient beast." Qianlai's expression changed before he stayed seriously. "I promise not to leave your sight or the Nether Continent." "All right, you did achieve something I cannot believe possible myself at Baluo realm, so I'll let you go just this once." Tate nodded. After he said this, the white bone Nether Spirit altar he sat up grew 10 times larger. The strange and ancient bone-shaped teleportation formation at the center of the altar discharged a pale white light. The spatial energy in the formation gradually stabilized over time. The Dark Shadow clansmen entered the formation one by one under Tate's guidance. Qianlai also passed through the light with La Pu after every Dark Shadow clansman had gone through. Nether Continent Qianlai and La Pu walked down from the white bone Nether Spirit altar, just like the one that Tate left behind on Soul Summoning Island, and stepped onto this land of the three races that had once dominated the Nether realm. When he walked down from the white bone Nether Spirit altar, Qianlai noticed that Tate, Luz, and the others had been waiting for a while. An enormous and deep hole to the right of the teleportation formation gave off a stream of nether demonic energy. Qianlai only needed a glance to know that the dark hole was the so-called evil nether passageway that he had once opened under the armament sect. He realized that the passageway was connected to Nether Realm. 3 years ago, Skymender Palace sealed this passage, making it difficult to return to Nether Continent, Tate explained. Not long ago, when Skymender Palace retracted the ban, the passageway was reopened. Since then, the races of Nether Realm can come over directly through this passageway. In other words, they will not need to detour through the Scarlet Tide continent? Qianlai realized. The Horned Demon Kulu and his brother had reached the Scarlet Tide continent without passing through the Nether battlefield due to the evil Nether passageway he had opened at Armament Sect. After that, they reached Nether Continent through the teleportation formation set up in Herb Mountain. The reason it had taken so many turns was because the Nether Continent had been sealed and the evil Nether passageway couldn't be used. Skymender Palace took away their restriction on the three great races of Nether Realm. Through the efforts of Tate and the others, they finally opened the passageway again. As the passageway had been restored, Nether demonic energy would stream out of it. It would spread through the entire Nether continent and have this continent once again become the best cultivation location for the races of Nether Realm. The Horned Demon race of Nether Realm and the Dark Shadow clansmen could come to Nether Continent through this evil Nether passageway. Starting today, we will not have to use Scarlet Tide Continent's passageway. All the races of Nether Realm can enter the Nether Continent through this place. Tate nodded. Qianlai looked at the sky. The time should be daytime, but the sky of the Nether Continent was shrouded by thick Nether demonic energy. The blinding sunlight could not penetrate the layer. The white bone Nether Spirit altar was capable of back and forth transport between Spirit Realm and this evil Nether passageway that was connected to Nether Realm. This was an extremely wondrous plaza. He could not see its end. This plaza was covered in gray-white granite. Every 100 or so meters, he could see the statues of many demon gods. The statues appeared to have been repaired and raised up. They had been damaged in the past. Even further away, there were pitch-black pillars on which monsters he didn't know were engraved on. When he looked closely, he realized that they were the nether beasts of the Nether Realm. Many Dark Shadow and Horned Demon clansmen guarded this place. They rode nether giant tail lizards and other profound nether beasts. Their armor was tattered and their weapons covered in blood. Some of those weapons were even broken. Those people were outfitted with old and poor equipment in Qianlai's eyes. The quality was ordinary, but their eyes were savage and gave off a thick bloody tang. They gave people a wild and savage feeling. Their armor and weapons are extremely damaged and low quality. They will be at a disadvantage in a fight, Qianlai casually commented. Tate had a helpless expression. There is no way around it. The smaller races of Nether Realm that are skilled in artifact forging have all joined the Ghost Eye race. And the Ghost Eye race does not recognize the Ling family as the imperial family of Nether Realm. They are afraid of Skymender Palace. They do not want to return to the Nether Continent, so we cannot receive any help from the Ghost Eye race. Our resources are limited. When we lived on the Nether Continent in the past, we offended too many people. There are no artificers nearby willing to help us. In these recent years, I only got a few small batches of spirit artifacts through working with Heavenly Sword Mountain. Why not find me? Qianlai frowned. When I worked with Heavenly Sword Mountain, Flaming Sun Island hadn't been founded yet. After the Flaming Sun Island had been established, I was afraid of dragging you down by having a close relationship with Flaming Sun Island. I was afraid that your identity will be exposed to the major personages in Central World. Tate sighed. Our present days are not very good. After 3,000 years, the Horned Demon race and the Dark Shadow race were weak in Nether Realm. The Ghost Eye race controlled the profound Nether Sea and the Nine Soul Hell, the two places on the Nether continent that produced all kinds of treasures. The Horned Demon race and the Dark Shadow race couldn't use Nether Realm's valuable spirit materials to trade for great amounts of war resources. On the other side, the Blue Flame Manor they had never taken seriously had grown stronger and taken over the territories near the Nether continent. If they wanted to take resources from Spirit Realm, they had to fight Blue Flame Manor. Only then could they obtain cultivation materials and help their clansmen grow stronger. In the past, Nether Continent and the surroundings belonged to Sky Mender Palace. In these recent years, Sky Mender Palace and Six Ways Alliance have been fighting. They took abundant benefits from other places, but near Nether Continent, they have suffered great losses. Tate continued to explain. Blue Flame Manor is extremely strong. With Six Ways Alliance's help, they have taken over this place. One of the reasons that Sky Mender Palace had retracted their ban on us is due to the Venerable One. The other is that Sky Mender Palace hopes we can occupy Blue Flame Manor and cause them some trouble. At least, they want us to keep Blue Flame Manor in check, preventing them from freely moving about. As he explained, Qianlai finally understood that his grandfather wasn't the only reason why Sky Mender Palace had lifted their restrictions. Sky Mender Palace may have won in other places in its war against Six Ways Alliance, but they had been defeated around the Nether Continent due to Blue Flame Manor. The lands originally belonging to Sky Mender Palace were being gradually consumed by Blue Flame Manor. Urged by his grandfather, Sky Mender Palace lifted their restrictions on the races of Nether Realm out of consideration for the bigger picture and allowed the three strongest races of Nether Realm to return to the Nether Continent. As the three races returned to the Nether Continent, they would spread nether demonic energy into the surroundings to recover their previous glory. They were fated to have conflict with Blue Flame Manor. Sky Mender Palace's goal was to have Nether Realms races fight with Blue Flame Manor, use up Blue Flame Manor's strength so that Blue Flame Manor couldn't reinforce Six Ways Alliance. So that's how it is. Qianlai indicated his understanding. Let's go. We will meet the new ruler of the Dark Nether race, Tate said. Spirit-hunting beasts flew from afar and took on these young Dark Shadow clansmen to fly towards south. Qianlai stayed with Tate, Luz, and the other Soul Altar experts of Dark Shadow race. They went towards the west over tall mountain ranges. They rode a crystalline war chariot, the one that was common in Spirit Realm. Looking at the Nether Continent from above, Qianlai saw countless vicious plants growing densely on the ground. The entire flora had sharp thorns that could easily pierce flesh. Concentrated nether demonic energy covered all of the Nether Continent and made the environment here extremely similar to Nether Realms. Along the way, he saw many Dark Shadow and Horned Demon clansmen. They walked between the ruins of many cities. The destroyed cities were similar to the Obsidian Palace. There were the stone statues of many demon gods on the ceilings, and there were collapsed temples and pillars that had crumbled. 3,000 years ago, the Nether Continent had hundreds of cities, and millions clansmen of the three races lived in them. After Sky Mender Palace attacked, many cities were the focal points of the battles, and ended up destroyed, the temples smashed into bits. We repaired a very small number of cities after our return for our clansmen to live in. Tate's expression was calm. We will most likely have to wait for the royal bloodline of the Dark Nether race to grow up in order to recover the glory of 3,000 years ago. We have to wait for their bloodline to increase in rank to the level of demon gods. Then, Nether Continent will once again have hope of possessing an honored position in the Central World. Each demon god of Nether Realm was the result of a Dark Nether race member's transformation. Demon god is equivalent of an expert in the Genesis realm. Luz inhaled deeply. We once had 5 demon gods. Pity all 5 demon gods died. Otherwise, we would have never fallen to our current state. Luz, we have already gathered some of the soul fragments of demon gods to try to revive them, Tate suddenly said. When the words were said, many Dark Shadow clansmen shook. Do not be too happy. While the demon gods can be revived again, it is too difficult. Tate shook his head and said with a sigh, "While we are working on it, our gains are minuscule. Gathering the scattered soul fragments of the demon gods proved much harder than we had expected." After he said this, Tate looked at the 5 mountains ahead and said, "We've arrived." 5 vast mountain peaks appeared in front of Qianlai's eyes. They were extremely similar to the demon god mountain range that Qianlai had seen back in Netherrealm. The only difference was that the 5 mountain peaks here were even vaster and taller than the ones he saw there. According to what he knew, there were many similar demon god mountain ranges in the clan grounds of the 3 great races of Netherrealm. Avatars of the 5 demon gods were inside each demon god mountain range. He had seen the avatar of a demon god wake up in the mountain range of the Horned Demon race. God race even received the inheritance of one of the demon gods. And then, many years later, he saw a similar mountain range again in the middle of Nether continent. He naturally thought back to when he, Mangwang, and Song Tingyu had roamed the Horned Demon race's demon god mountain range. The 5 mountains here, do they have the demon gods' avatars inside? Qianlai suddenly said, "We are trying to recompose the main bodies of the demon gods." Tate's expression was solemn. Qianlai was astounded. "The demon gods, can they really be revived?" Tate nodded seriously. "The 5 demon gods have not truly died. If their shattered souls are gathered together again, they will recover their souls and intelligence. With their souls, with their lifeblood essence, they can regrow their flesh and bones. They can come back to life." Lifeblood essence can regrow flesh and bone? Qianlai was astounded. Tate looked deeply at him and smiled slightly. He said, "The bloodlines of the strongest and most mysterious races usually have the ability to remake one's body using blood. The demon gods contain the most noble blood of the dark nether race. Each drop of their lifeblood essence, as long as they are provided with enormous amount of fleshly energy and refine it slowly with their soul, can be used to build a new body. The god race's bloodline flows within your blood. You already have an enhanced recovery ability. When your bloodline reaches a certain level, recovery will become self-healing, and after that, it will become the ability to be reborn. Recovery will only have you recover from injuries quicker, restore your energies quickly, and make your wounds heal faster. Self-healing will let your fingers, ears, and toes grow back again after being cut away. Revival is to use lifeblood essence to remake a physical body after the original body is destroyed." Pointing at the 5 mountains, Tate continued, "The avatars inside the demon god mountain ranges of our 3 races are bodies refined from the lifeblood essences of the demon gods. The 5 demon gods can reclaim their life force and recover their battle prowess. For our 5 demon gods, remaking a physical body is not too difficult. What is difficult is slowly gathering the shattered souls scattered all over. The demon gods will only wake up when their souls have been fully restored. They will then enter their avatars. Through secret techniques, they can turn their avatars into their primary body." Luz smiled faintly and said casually, "You do not need to be so startled. With your strongest god race bloodline, when your bloodline reaches rank 9, you will also possess the ability of rebirth. Rebirth, after your physical body is destroyed, with your lifeblood essence as the core, with fleshly energy as power, you can remake your physical body." Qianlai thought, his eyes flashing with electricity. He subconsciously took out the flesh-filling tombstone, putting his hands on the tombstone that Land of Chaos called Demon Sealing Tombstone. He thought back to the time when the 8 god corpses would eat flesh and blood to store flesh and blood energies after battle. He came to a realization. The 6 great spirit bodies in the graveyard of gods had been absorbed and refined by the flesh-filling tombstone. After that, the 6 purest drops of blood from the 6 spirit bodies merged with the pure soul springs after being secreted from the flesh-filling tombstone. Adding on his soul and blood, the soul-suppressing orb had refined them into the spirits of void and chaos. He could always obtain great amounts of blood energy through the flesh-filling tombstone and cultivate the blood spirit art. The physical energies inside the flesh-filling tombstone can quickly replenish my energies during battle and help my bloodline recover. In the future, I can use the vast flesh and blood energies in the flesh-filling tombstone to rebuild my body, He looked bewildered. Qin Lai, the Ling family lives in the mountain range right now, Tate said. Qin Lai took a deep breath and slowly calmed his mind. His expression calmed as well. The group headed into the mountain range. Lord Tate. Greetings to Lord Tate. Occasionally, horned demon clansmen would walk out of mountain valleys and salute Tate. Chief Commander. Chief Commander Luz. Suddenly, a sharp voice came from another mountain valley. A group of dark shadow clansmen were cultivating in one of the mountain valleys. One of them saw Luz and immediately waved their hands in excitement. Chief Commander has returned. Many of the dark shadow clansmen started to scream and many sprinted over. Greetings to Chief Commander. The dark shadow clansmen knelt on the ground hundreds of meters away as they looked with respect at Luz. Stand up. Luz raised a hand and smiled slightly. After 3,000 years, we finally returned from Baluo realm, back to Nether Continent where we gloriously thrived. The dark shadow clansmen shouted, raising their arms. Qin Lai. A horned demon clansman's shout came from a distance. It was Ku Luo. Then Ku Luo, Ku Lu, Duo Luo and many other horned demon clansmen that Qin Lai had sent towards the Nether Continent appeared. Those people had smiles of surprise and joy. Hearing the news, members of the Ling family deeper in the mountain range came over. Ling Feng, Ling Xianxia, Ling Chengji, and other people Qin Lai was familiar with silently appeared. Those people couldn't believe their eyes when they saw Qin Lai. Qin Lai continued to breathe deeply to keep his calm. He shouted towards them, "Long time no see." He noticed that other than the older members of the Ling family, the other youths and children also had purple hair and eyes. After the Ling family came to Nether Continent, their bloodline had clearly awakened. Ling Feng's short needle-like hair was deep purple. He looked at Qin Lai from a distance, his hands in fists, his shoulders trembling slightly as his eyes were alight. Ling Xianxia bit on her lower lip, tears appearing in her purple eyes. Suddenly, the Nether Continent denizens stopped their shouting. Go see them first, Tate told Qin Lai. He said, Miss Ling is wounded. She is recovering in the God Palace. She is unable to move around. I think she hopes to see you immediately. I will come with you, Lapu said. Qin Lai nodded and did not speak. He and Lapu went towards the mountain range where the Ling family lived. Along the way, many people of the Horned Demon and Dark Shadow clansmen whispered and gossiped, not sure of their identities. He is the grandson of the Venerable One. Tate's expression turned dark. He led us from Nether Realm to the Scarlet Tide Continent and then to the Nether Continent. If not for him, we wouldn't have today. Ku Luo explained to the other Horned Demon clansmen from different tribes. Those people immediately became respectful. He went to Baluo Realm and took us back to Spirit Realm. Without him, our branch of the Dark Shadow race would have been annihilated in Baluo Realm. Eddie explained to the Dark Shadow clansman beside him. The Dark Shadow clansmen shook. Their eyes with which they looked at Qin Lai immediately filled with deep respect. Therefore, under the shocked gazes of the Horned Demon race and Dark Shadow race, Qin Lai came to the mountain where the Ling family was living. A small town was built in the mountain range. It looked almost exactly like the Ling town of the past. When Qin Lai arrived, he found Ling Feng and all the other members of the Ling family waiting at the gates to welcome him. Ling Chengji looked at him and showed an emotional expression. He said softly, Qin Lai, you have finally come home. In their hearts, Qin Lai would forever be a part of their Ling town. Looking at the familiar people at the identical Ling town, Qin family felt slightly overwhelmed. Yes, I'm home. Then his gaze moved past the group and landed on the tower where Ling Yushi should be in. Miss isn't in the ancestral tower. Ling Feng pointed in another direction. He said with a complicated expression. Miss has been living there all this time. Qin Lai turned his head and shook. Ling Feng was pointing at the small stone house where he had lived before in Ling Town. Right now, there was an identical stone house at that position, exactly the same as the one back in Ling Town. 7 or 8 years had passed since their ways parted at Herb Mountain. During this time, Qin Lai fought in the Land of Chaos while Ling Yushi fought for the sake of the races of the Nether Continent as the Queen of the Dark Nether race. Today, they were finally reunited. A noble and graceful figure with purple hair that cascaded all the way down to the waist stood at the entrance of that small stone house that looked exactly the same as the one in Ling Town. Ling Yushi had shed her immaturity completely after so many years. Her purple, crystal-like pupils were full of profundity. She had skin was as white as cream, purple hair and purple pupils. She was extraordinarily charming this way. When she stood in front of the door, she attracted everyone's attention like a purple magnetic field or a bottomless abyss. Anyone who got close and set their eyes on her would find their souls affected by her. They would subconsciously immerse themselves in the mysterious atmosphere she created. "You're back." She pursed her lips and smiled slightly. Like so many years ago, she called out to him in a gentle voice and loving gaze. "I'm back." Qin Lai also smiled. Every Ling family member simply watched them with a smile on their faces. Even La Pu had gone silent even though he wanted to talk about Ling Yushi's injuries. Qin Lai walked towards Ling Yushi, held her hand and entered the tiny stone house before everyone's eyes. Qin Lai's expression turned serious after he closed the door. He asked, "How were you hurt?" Ling Yushi's hand was ice cold. He felt like he was holding a block of freezing ice and not a hand. In fact, it was so cold that he felt like he was cultivating on top of a celestial ice crystal mine. He sent a wisp of soul consciousness into Ling Yushi's arm from his palm and probed around carefully. He immediately discovered that her veins were blocked by traces of cold energy. He also noticed that these cold energy also contained a strange power that was capable of numbing the soul. Not long after he started probing her body, his soul consciousness had been extinguished, his mind turning blurry. He had no choice but to withdraw his consciousness and asked with a heavier heart, "What in spirit realm is going on?" The cultivators of Blue Flame Manor cultivated the power of fire, so they couldn't be the ones who left behind such a cold power in Ling Yushi's body. The discovery confused him. "A few days ago, we were dealt a grievous blow by a 5-level soul altar expert of Blue Flame Manor. I had no choice but to execute a secret art of the 9 Hell Evil Scripture and activate my bloodline powers to attack his true soul. We managed to deal a heavy blow to his true soul, but I've suffered a backlash from my bloodline as a result. That's why I'm this injured." Ling Yushi explained carelessly before smiling at him. "I heard from Tate that you had achieved many things in the Land of Chaos. For example, the Flaming Sun Island you created has become one of the silver rank forces of the Land of Chaos and grows stronger every day. You're just as outstanding as you were back then. No matter how hard the problem, you will always find a solution." She paused for a moment before shaking her head in self-derision. "However, I am vastly inferior in comparison. Although the Nether Continent is not under seal anymore, and we are able to travel back and forth from Nether Realm right now, I wasn't able to persuade the Ghost Eye race to fight with us. Many of Nether Realm's resources are under the Ghost Eye race's control. Since they remained unconvinced of me, we are unable to use those precious spirit materials to trade for cultivation pills and spirit artifacts. Moreover, the lands outside the Nether Continent are ruled by Blue Flame Manor. If we wish to survive, we must fight against them to acquire the mineral veins and spirit mountains. We were on the losing side every time we fought against Blue Flame Manor. We never managed to gain the upper hand." She let out a soft sigh. Qin Lai looked at her deeply before asking, "What realm are you at right now?" "Cultivation-wise, I'm currently in the middle stage of the fragmentation realm. As for my bloodline, I'm at rank 6 right now." Ling Yushi answered softly. Qin Lai's entire body shook at the answer. He stared disbelievingly at Ling Yushi for a very long time before he finally said, "You are already far, far stronger than what I initially imagined you to be." Despite fighting at the Land of Chaos for so many years, he was just at the early stage of the fragmentation realm. Even his god race bloodline was still at rank 5. Ling Yushi was obviously stronger than him, whether it be her cultivation or bloodline power. That's only because you cultivate too many things. You cultivate the blood spirit art, the frost arts, Thunder Emperor's inheritance, and even the records of geocentric magnetism. Of course, your breakthrough speed is slowed down by all these different cultivation systems. That being said, They did improve your fighting power as a result, didn't they? Ling Yushi said gently with a smile. I'm only cultivating are the secret arts in the 9 hell evil scripture, so it's only natural that I improve faster than you. However, I may not be your match in a real fight. Qin Lai knew that what she said was the truth. The martial practitioners who cultivates multiple cultivation techniques might progress slower, but their numerous methods and unpredictable battle techniques also meant that they were a lot more lethal than the conventional martial practitioners. Still, Qin Lai was very shocked by Ling Yushi's cultivation speed. I know of your achievements at the Land of Chaos. Ling Yushi smiled and added, every time Tate returned from the Land of Chaos, I would summon him over and make him tell me everything you did at the Land of Chaos. That was the only way I could feel you were close to me, that we weren't too far apart. Qin Lai didn't say anything. He simply held her cold, small hands tighter. I was very worried when Tate told me you went into the graveyard of gods. I couldn't truly relax until you finally returned. When Black Voodoo Cult and the 3 great families attacked the Setting Sun Islands, I couldn't help but worry if you can resist their invasion. When the 8 great silver rank forces tried to force Terminator Sect to hand you over, all I wanted is to lead my people and launch an attack against the Land of Chaos. When I heard that you were sent into Baluo Realm in accordance to Grandpa Qinshan's plans, I couldn't help but worry if you could get used to the harsh environment of that place. Ling Yushi spoke incessantly as if she had turned back into the chatty girl at Ling Town. She told him everything that had happened to him at the Land of Chaos while holding his hand as if she had seen everything with her own eyes. The man at the center of all these incidents, Qin Lai, had turned into a quiet listener instead. When she was done recounting, Qin Lai bowed his head and said shamefully, You didn't mention Song Tingyu. Ling Yushi smiled calmly. I knew of her affections for you since way back at the Scarlet Tide continent. She might not have had the opportunity to slip into your heart had I been around at the Scarlet Tide continent, but I was at the Nether continent at the time, and we haven't met each other for at least 7 or 8 years. She wouldn't be the Song Tingyu I knew if she failed to enter your heart despite so many opportunities. Qin Lai hastily explained. She was inflicted with the voodoo poison when we entered the graveyard of gods together. At the time, she didn't have more than a few days to live. I thought we wouldn't be able to walk out of the graveyard of gods alive, so Ling Yushi pressed 2 fingers on his lips softly with her other hand and said, I know that Flaming Sun Island wouldn't be as big or as prosperous as it was without Miss Song or Miss Tang's aid. Also, I know you're a very lazy person, and that you need someone to put things into order around you. I'm not as small-minded as you think. Qin Lai let out a secret sigh of relief. Then, Ling Yushi changed her tone and let out a soft laugh, adding, That being said, I will be heading to Flaming Sun Island and have a chat with them sometime in the future. Qin Lai grew anxious again. After all, it's important to establish a hierarchy, Ling Yushi said indifferently. Inside the small stone house, the duo confided to each other in soft voices and close embrace as if they had returned to the past. They told each other their thoughts when they fought life-and-death battles during the past 7 to 8 years, the situation at the Nether continent, and the messy conflicts of the Land of Chaos. Ling Yushi learned that the Land of Chaos had regained its peace and wouldn't be embroiled in war for a short time. She also knew that Baluo Realm was currently embroiled in chaos and war. She also learned that Qin Lai had obtained a rich amount of resources from Baluo Realm and transformed Flaming Sun Island into the richest force in the entire Land of Chaos. On Qin Lai's side, he learned of Ling Yushi's difficulty, and that his success happened to be exactly what they needed. We should have complemented each other since a while ago, Qin Lai said. I don't want to rely on you for everything, Ling Yushi said softly. When the Qin family returns to the Central World in the future, I will need your help and the support of the entire Nether Realm. Therefore, I have a responsibility to strengthen you as quickly as possible and supply you with an endless amount of cultivation resources. To the north of the Nether continent, there was a giant city known as Flame Emperor City. It was the capital of Blue Flame Manor. The center of Flame Emperor City was filled with grand palaces built mainly using heavenly flame crystals. At this moment, 2 tall and brawny middle-aged men were waiting respectfully before a 1.2 meters tall rhombus-shaped mirror. It didn't take long before a clump of fire suddenly appeared from inside the mirror. A powerful spatial ripple gradually appeared from the flames. Whoosh! An imposing figure that was completely covered in flames suddenly walked out of the mirror and stood still before the duo. "Well met, Manor Lord!" the duo shouted in unison. The man named Kai-Ken looked at them before withdrawing the flames that looked like spirit snakes into his body. He said, "Have you conquered the Nether Continent?" Bowing their heads, one of the duo said, "We have failed you. Only the Dark Shadow race and Horned Demon race stand in your way. So why haven't you conquered this place with your level of strength?" Kai-Ken frowned. He knew very well how strong his two subordinates were. One of them had a 4-level soul altar, and the other had a 5-level soul altar. He had fought with them for many years, and they had never disappointed him. The Ghost Eye race of the Nether Continent hadn't shown up, so logically speaking the Dark Shadow race and Horned Shadow race shouldn't be their match. Kai-Ken didn't know which part of the Nether Continent contained the bigger threat. There is a woman called Ling Yushir of the Dark Nether race whose bloodline had reached rank 6. Her soul is full of mysteries, and she is able to create a soul abyss that is much like Nether Realm's 9-soul hell, by executing a 9-hell evil scripture's secret art with her bloodline. The 5-level soul altar Guanzhou said with a heavy expression. "I should have been able to severely injure Gordon of the Horned Demon race when I set loose my soul altar during the previous battle. But her secret art made me lose control of my soul altar all of a sudden. I was nearly dealt a serious blow by Gordon instead." The Dark Nether race is truly the royal race of Nether Realm. Their bloodline is incredibly scary, and they possess a mysterious power that can twist the soul. The 4-level soul altar expert Wantong revealed an expression of lingering fear. It was as if he was caught off guard like this in the past too. Kai-Ken's eyes were dark. He said after a moment of silence, "The Dark Nether race's bloodline is scary, all right. If that woman's bloodline reaches rank 10 in the future, she'll become the new demon god of Nether Realm. Every demon god of Nether Realm possesses the combat strength of a Genesis Realm expert. Back when Nether Realm was at its peak, the 5 demon gods were a terror that even the top-rate gold rank forces in the Central World dared not provoke. Skymender Palace had to pay a terrible, terrible price to ultimately take down the 5 demon gods. They didn't recover their strength even though 1,000 years had passed. In fact, the reason Six Ways Alliance have the slightest chance of contending against all these years is because they were wounded too deeply by the 5 demon gods of Nether Realm. Guanzhou and Wang Tong looked more and more astonished. "We cannot allow the Dark Nether race to grow stronger." Kai-Ken pondered for a moment before saying, "Every Dark Nether clansman will undergo an evolution when their bloodline reaches rank 10. If I'm not mistaken, that woman's bloodline seems to have backfired on her. She suffered serious injuries too," Guanzhou said suddenly. Kai-Ken nodded. "Right now her bloodline is only at rank 6. She must pay a price if she wishes to forcefully activate a 9-hell evil scripture's secret art with her bloodline. Since you're back from Vermilion Bird Realm, we should be able to take over the Nether Continent easily with your aid, Manor Lord," Wang Tong said. "I need to visit Six Ways Alliance first. Once I come back, I'll deal with our enemies in Nether Realm." Kai-Ken pondered for a moment before adding, "Be ready and wait for my return." Wantong nodded to indicate his understanding. Guanzhou asked another question. "Manor Lord, why are you in such a hurry to visit Six Ways Alliance?" Kai-Ken's expression abruptly grew heavy. Six Ways Alliance, Starry Hall, and Ninth Heaven had detected what seemed like the god race's traces at the unknown space at the edge of the realms under their control. Guanzhou and Wantong looked surprised. The god race. Both Guanzhou and Wantong were unfamiliar with the infamous race who was gone from Spirit Realm for nearly 20,000 years. Therefore, they looked somewhat unconcerned about the news. "You do not know how terrifying that race really is." Kai-Ken inhaled deeply before saying, "For the past 20,000 years, the top-rate gold rank forces of the human race dared not slack off for even a moment because of their existence. Their experts had never stopped patrolling the space where the god race had vanished into because they were afraid that they might return without warning." "Didn't we chase them away in the end?" Guanzhou asked. "We." Kai-Ken looked agonized. Back then, after the human race united the 100 races and many experts from other realms, we had to pay a terrible price before we were able to force the god race away from spirit realm. As a result, the human race lost nearly 80% of its greatest experts, and the ancient races suffered similar losses too. We may have won that war, but it was a Pyrrhic victory. In fact, there is no telling who might have won that war if the god race made up their minds to fight us to the death instead. Are they really that scary? Wantong turned pale. Right now, the god race's traces had caused every gold rank forces in the central world to grow nervous. Kaiken paused for a moment before saying, "The older a family and force is, the more terrified they are towards the god race. Even the G family has begun withdrawing their forces and ordering a temporary stop to all other realm invasions for now. But the G family is an ancient human family that has existed since ancient times," Guanzhou exclaimed. "That is why I must head to Six Ways Alliance and see it for myself. Only then can I return to Nether Realm to deal with the rest of our enemies," Kaiken said. The Silver Streak Heavenly Snake's refined blood contains a strange power that can sublimate one's bloodline. However, its tremendous medicinal effects also cause great pain during the absorption process. La Pu looked at Qin Lai and Ling Yushi seriously inside the stone house. "I've done my best to weaken the unstable medicinal effects of the Silver Streak Heavenly Snake's refined blood with some other medicines. But I am still unsure if the two of you are able to endure the pain. After all, these two refined blood come from a rank 9 Silver Streak Heavenly Snake, but your bloodlines are only at rank 5 and rank 6. I need this refined blood to recover from my injuries." Ling Yushi picked up a jade bottle resolutely. Meanwhile, Qin Lai grinned and said, "I've been fighting against pain from the moment I'm conscious. I refuse to believe that a single drop of Nivit's refined blood can beat me. Then I wish you both good luck in absorbing these two blood droplets," La Pu said. Qin Lai and Ling Yushi exchanged a smile with one another before they opened the bottle at the same time and held the rank 9 Silver Streak Heavenly Snake's refined blood in their palm. The two blood droplets were like powerful acid that sizzled with thick smoke the second it landed on their palms. Two bloody holes appeared in their palms almost instantly. Then, Nivit's blood was absorbed into their bloodline. In the next moment, an uncontrollably scream burst out of the duo's throats inside this small stone house. Outside Lingtown, Luz, Tate, and the horned demon warrior with 9 curved horns, Gordon, suddenly showed up. They were all staring at a group of people with serious expressions on their faces. It was a group of Ghost Eye clansmen. The leader of the group had 9 eyes, and its 9th eye was on the top of his head, sparkled with cold, green light. "What are you doing here, Gray?" The horned demon elite Gordon was even larger than Tate. He had 9 horns, so he was as powerful as a human void realm expert. He stood together with Luz as they stopped the group of Ghost Eye clansmen at the town entrance of Lingtown. "Can't I come here to see an old friend?" Gray of the Ghost Eye race looked at Luz. "I was very surprised to hear that you've returned from Baluo realm. That's why I purposely came over to see you." "In that case, thank you," Luz said carelessly. "La Pu." Gray suddenly let out an angry roar towards Lingtown. "It's been 3,000 years. Where the hell have you been hiding all this time? Why haven't you returned until now?" "Big brother." La Pu's expression changed. He was going to observe Qin Lai and Ling Yushi carefully, but Gray's angry shout had caused him to jolt up in shock. "The Queen is absorbing the refined blood of the rank 9 Silver Streak Heavenly Snake's refined blood." "Do not be noisy," Gordon said angrily. "She is your queen, but not ours." Gray snorted. A true dark nether clansman has purple hair, purple eyes, and purple blood since the moment they're conceived. It's obvious that these Ling family members are humans who have stolen the dark nether race's bloodline. They're the same kind of people as those humans in the top gold rank forces of the central world. Do you understand? They are humans, not dark nether clansmen. Have you all gone blind or something? The greatest experts of the dark shadow race, horned demon race, and Ghost Eye race were arguing fiercely with one another at Lingtown's town entrance over the matter of Ling family's bloodline. Gray didn't acknowledge the members of Ling family for who they were. That was why he hadn't supported their battle against Blue Flame Manor from the start and had even forbidden his clansmen from entering the Nether Realm. Look at them. Gray of the Ghost Eye race pointed at Ling Qingji, Ling Kangon, and a couple other members of Ling family. They all have black hair and eyes. Which part of them looks like dark Nether clansmen? The older generation of the Ling family hadn't awakened their bloodline yet, so they did look like humans and couldn't absorb or refine Nether demonic energy easily. Only the youths of Ling family had gradually awakened their bloodline and gained the unique characteristics of the dark Nether race, such as purple hair, eyes, and blood. These youths could absorb Nether demonic energy, cultivate the secret arts inside the 9 Hell Evil scripture, and improve their realm at a tremendous rate. You know that the bloodline awakening of a dark Nether clansman normally happens when they're still at their youth. After they grew older, the chances that their bloodline will awaken falls off tremendously. Gordon pointed at Ling Xianxia, Ling Feng, and the other youngsters with wide eyes. They had all awakened the bloodline inside their bodies. As long as they continue to grow stronger, one of them will eventually become a new demon god. Keep dreaming. Gray snorted coldly. Do you know how many terrible dangers must a martial practitioner go through to evolve their bloodline to rank 10? Even a pure dark Nether clansman only had 1 in 10,000th chance to attain a rank 10 bloodline. How can these people with human blood in them possibly raise their bloodline to rank 10? Stop shouting, Gray. Luz of the Dark Shadow race frowned deeply. The Venerable One's grandson is absorbing the rank 9 Silver Streak, Heavenly Snake refined blood too. The Venerable One's grandson? Gray looked astonished. He stared at them strangely before he gave them a sneer. Are you sure you haven't made a mistake somewhere? What do you mean? Luz asked. You've lived in Baluo realm for far too long, so you probably didn't know what happened outside. Just 300 years ago, the Venerable One's grandson was killed by that girl from 9th Heaven, Gray explained. The Venerable One was the one who personally took his grandson's corpse back home. After that, the Qin family slaughtered the 9th Heaven martial practitioners en masse and triggered a shocking civil war in the central world of Spirit Realm. Gray stared at them. Everyone in the world should know about this. Have you not heard? He is still alive, Luz said. He is indeed alive, Gordon interrupted. One of our clans was able to return from the Scarlet Tide continent all thanks to him. Luz and Gordon were the top experts of the Dark Shadow race and Horned Demon race. Gray knew they wouldn't talk nonsense. Seeing how serious-looking they were, Gray's expression slowly turned serious. Is he truly the Venerable One's grandson? Without a doubt, Luz yelled. The shouting Gray suddenly fell silent and pondered in silence. Just like Luz and Gordon, Gray held Xianxia in high esteem. He knew that the entire Nether realm would have been eradicated if Xianxia hadn't pleaded for mercy on their behalf. The Horned Demon race, Dark Shadow race, and the Ghost Eye race of Nether realm had once sworn to treat Xianxia as their Venerable One. Gray also knew that the reason Skymender Palace withdrew the ban on Nether realm and allow its denizens to return to the Nether continent was all thanks to Xianxia working behind the scenes. He might not acknowledge the Ling family, but he was deeply grateful towards Xianxia and his grandson. I wish to see the Venerable One's grandson. A while later, Gray made a sudden request. Luz frowned slightly. He's absorbing the Silver Streak Heavenly Snake's refined blood right now. Exactly. I want to see him at his current state. Gray expressed. Gordon, Tate, and the other Horned Demon experts turned to look at Luz. Luz pondered for a moment before saying, The Queen is present too. You must promise not to raise your voice and disturb their absorption of the Silver Streak Heavenly Snake's refined blood. Gray thought for a moment before nodding. I promise. Also, don't yell at La Pu, please, Luz added. So he is here. Gray snorted before nodding again. I promise. It was only then Luz said to Ling Qingji at the entrance. Don't worry too much. He won't cause trouble with Gordon and me around. Ling Qingji let out a sigh of relief and motioned for all members of the Ling family to make way and allow Gray to come in. However, Gray left the rest of the Ghost Eye clansmen outside. Gordon, Luz, and Gray were the 3 strongest martial practitioners of the Horned Demon race, Dark Shadow Race, and Ghost Eye Race right now. They all walked towards Qin Lai and Ling Yusher's small stone house after obtaining the Ling family's permission. They could hear intermittent screams of pain when they were still a few hundred meters away from them. They all knew that Qin Lai and Ling Yusher were in a difficult stage right now. In front of the stone house, La Pu was muttering something in a small voice while looking discouraged. He looked up with a forced smile only when Gray got close and said, "Long time no see, big brother. Do you really think of me as your big brother?" Gray snorted coldly. "It's been 3,000 years. I heard nothing from you at all. I thought you were killed by the humans since a long time ago." Gray's tone suddenly turned agitated. "Don't forget your promise," Luz exclaimed in a suppressed voice. Gray kept breathing in and out to control his emotions. Took him a while before he finally calmed down. Back then, Father was seriously injured. His eyes began to fail him not long after he returned to the ancestral ground, and his soul dissipated into nothingness in the end. All 9 of Gray's eyes shone with the light of pain. "He couldn't stop talking about you before he died. He thought you died in that war. La Pu was filled with guilt and shame. Unlike many others warlike Ghost Eye clansmen, he had always been more interested in the physique and bloodline of all-powerful ancient races. He disliked the single-minded pursuit of power. His father had placed high hopes on him. He had hoped that both Gray and him could revitalize the Ghost Eye race. His father's lifelong wish was for the Ghost Eye race to lead the rest of the powerful races of Nether Realm back to the Nether continent. He wanted them to have a vast territory to live in the gigantic main world that was Spirit Realm. He knew very well that he would be influenced by his father and Gray to abandon all his dreams and hobbies the moment he returned to Nether Realm. He would be forced to pursue strength single-mindedly. That wasn't the life he wished to live, and that was why he never returned. "I'm sorry." La Pu kept his head bowed. Gray stared at him for a long time before saying, "Father used to say that your potential was better than mine. Had you properly tempered yourself in the past 3,000 years, you would have already grown your 9th eye. In fact, you could have even reached the zenith of the Ghost Eye race and grow your 10th eye." La Pu's head drooped even lower. "You were supposed to be the hope of the Ghost Eye race. For you, I even made the decision to abandon my position as the chief of the Ghost Eye race and do my best to assist you. I had hoped to turn the Ghost Eye race into the strongest race in Nether Realm, so we may enjoy the same supreme status as the Dark Nether race." Gray stared disappointedly at La Pu for failing to meet his expectations with wide eyes. "You have disappointed me too much." La Pu didn't dare utter a sound. He simply kept his head bowed and listened to Gray's scoldings without retorting. After Gray scolded La Pu for a long time until his mouth was dry, his anger gradually subsided. It was then now La Pu looked up towards Gray, Gordon, and Luz and said, "The things I research can sublimate every race in Nether Realm. If I have enough materials and refined blood of powerful ancient races, I may be able to aid you to grow your 10th eye, or Gordon to grow his 10th horn, or Luz to create 7th, 8th, or even 9th level of his soul altar." The 3 strongest martial practitioners in the entire Nether Realm stared at him in disbelief. What did you just say?" Gray exclaimed in shock. Gordon also uttered, "Are you sure you're not joking?" The Dark Nether race aside, it is nearly impossible for any race in Nether Realm to improve their bloodline to rank 10 and climb to the peak of our strength. Disbelief was clearly etched on Luz's face. A rank 10 bloodline martial practitioner had almost never existed within the Horned Demon race, Ghost Eye race, or Dark Shadow race. "That's because our bloodline is currently defective." La Pu looked very serious. "I've been researching the 3 races' bloodline for the past 3,000 years, and I am gradually arriving at a clear train of thought through my understanding of the powerful ancient races and even the god race's bloodline. I am certain that I'll be able to repair the deficiency in our bloodline and enable the Horned Demon race, Ghost Eye race, and Dark Shadow race to evolve their blood to rank 10 just like the Dark Nether race, as long as I keep on doing what I'm doing right now." La Pu actually sounded full of confidence when he said this. However, the trio still didn't believe him. They all thought that he was exaggerating his claims. The refined blood Qin Lai and Miss Ling is absorbing has been perfected by my hands. If they successfully absorb it into their bodies, I am sure they'll gain an unexpected benefit, La Pu said. The trio's gazes finally become concentrated on Qin Lai and Ling Yushi after they heard this. Their eyes were full of doubt. It was at this moment they noticed that dense, purple-colored mist was flowing out of Ling Yushi's long hair. The mist actually contained the mysterious aura of Netherrealm's forbidden land, the Nine-Soul Hell. They vaguely sensed a bizarre ripple of magnetic field in Ling Yushi's bloodline. In their eyes, Ling Yushi seemed to have transformed into a pure black abyss that could draw in the souls of all living beings into Nine-Soul Hell even though she was just sitting there without moving a muscle. Their souls fleeted as if they were attracted by Ling Yushi. It was as if their souls were going to fly out of their bodies uncontrollably. It was as if Ling Yushi hid a most terrifying soul-devouring beast of Netherrealm inside her body. Even their souls had become Ling Yushi's prey. They felt like their souls would be devoured at any moment. It caused fear to spring from the bottom of their heart. Miss Ling's bloodline is not quite the same as the bloodline of the royals of Dark Nether race of the past. Not only there is her bloodline vaguely connected to Nine-Soul Hell, it even possesses the same characteristics. La Pu's expression gradually turned serious. The reason the Dark Nether race could become the royal race of Netherrealm is because a Dark Nether race chief once possessed a bloodline that shared the same characteristics as one of our two forbidden grounds, the profound Nether Sea. He is the first Dark Nether race genius to ever evolve his bloodline to rank 10. And it is thanks to him that all Dark Nether clansmen after him were able to attain a rank 10 bloodline and evolve into demon gods. It was him who caused the Dark Nether race's bloodline to change and evolve. That was how the Dark Nether race transformed from a tiny race to the royal race of Netherrealm. However, no Dark Nether clansman after him ever had a bloodline that shared similar characteristics to our two forbidden lands, even though a lot of them reached rank 10 and evolved into demon gods. But according to my observations, Miss Ling's bloodline characteristic is exactly the same as Nine-Soul Hell. She may be the next epic maker of the Dark Nether race, La Pu said calmly. This was the first time the strongest martial practitioners of Netherrealm, Gray, Luz, and Gordon ever heard about this. They were all shocked by the revelation. Are you sure you are not mistaken? Gray of the Ghost Eye race looked with great astonishment at Ling Yushi. You have all gone to the Nine-Soul Hell before and know the aura there as well as its traits. La Pu's expression was profound. Carefully feel the aura from Miss Ling's bloodline. You will know that I am not mistaken. The three Netherrealm experts, Gordon, Luz, and Gray, closed their eyes at the same time. They released their enormous soul perception and carefully probed the uniqueness of Ling Yushi's bloodline. When they closed their eyes, they clearly saw Ling Yushi turn into a great abyss in their mental sea, as though she contained countless secrets. Their souls seemed to be suddenly pulled out of their bodies. The three of them shook and suddenly woke up. They looked with wide eyes at Ling Yushi. How is it? La Pu asked. It really seems like the aura of the Nine-Soul Hell. Gordon's voice was slightly hoarse. After Miss Ling assimilated that drop of Silver Streak Heavenly Snake Eye refined, her bloodline characteristics have now become extremely clear, La Pu said proudly. When Gray and the other two people looked at La Pu again, their eyes were filled with surprise. They started to seriously consider what La Pu had said previously. At this time, the mist that had flowed out of Ling Yushi's hair slowly gathered above her skull. Blurry ghostly figures flickered in the mist as though they were wailing and trying to break free. The three strongest people in Netherrealm looked at the shadows within the mist and their expressions gradually changed. Indeed, her bloodline really is connected to Nine-Soul Hell, Gray shouted. Luz also shook and said excitedly, So unbelievable, so unbelievable. They looked with surprise at Ling Yushi. At this time, streaks of fire flashed out of Qin Lai's skin. The fire was a crimson red and small fragmented divine characters flashed within them. Qin Lai roared, his body convulsing violently, his tendons bulging out like earthworms. His hair quickly became a fiery red as his skeleton cracked. Gordon and the others moved their gazes from Ling Yushi to him as he underwent transformation. God race bloodline. Gordon narrowed his eyes and said, Venerable One's grandson. His reputation on the nether continent before was not good. People once placed great hopes on him. He was thought to have the strongest bloodline. But he disappointed everyone. His god race bloodline never woke up. Gray was extremely puzzled. He said, he had never shown extraordinary talent before. They were not like Luz. In these years, while they had not shown themselves on the nether continent, they paid attention to Spirit Realm's central world through various information channels. Because Xianxia was the reason why the races of the nether realm managed to survive, they paid special attention to the Qin family. Therefore, they were all familiar with the sudden upheaval that occurred 300 years ago in Spirit Realm's central world. They all knew of Qianlai's existence, knew of Qianlai's history, and knew how Qianlai had died. Luz had been trapped in Boluo realm all this time, willingly entering the state of deep slumber, and thus he had no idea of Qianlai's history. The Qianlai he knew was the Qianlai who rescued the Dark Shadow race in Boluo realm and took them back to the ruined lands. Gray and Gordon knew a Qianlai who couldn't do a thing and could be called average. This caused them to have different opinions about Qianlai. He has a rank 5 bloodline, he works hard on his cultivation, he is extremely tough and has many abilities. Even in Spirit Realm's central world, he would be a star. La Pu, who understood Qianlai best, looked at the trio and said, compared to 3 centuries ago, he has completely transformed. I believe he is the crux to the revival of the Qin family. Luz gave his opinion. Gray and Gordon had surprised expressions. They couldn't help but pay attention to what was happening to Qianlai. Whoosh! A streak of red, glittering energy flew out of Qianlai's brow and turned into the fire spirit in front of the trio. The fire spirit in the shape of the fire Qilin had stolen the life flame crystal from the core of the flame race's ancestral volcano and then sank into his glabella, dormant all this time. This time, the fire spirit detected the transformation in Qianlai's bloodline and came out of the soul-suppressing orb, spirit of void and chaos. Gray and Gordon's expressions changed. Even in the central world, the spirits of void and chaos were something that made people pale in fright. This kind of unknown being that could consume elements themselves and possessed almost limitless uses were the bane of all soul altar experts. The races of the nether realm knew about the terror and value of the spirits of void and chaos. The fire spirit was connected mentally to Qianlai and knew that these 3 foreign races experts held no malicious intent towards Qianlai. So without worrying about their gazes, it secreted 3 drops of blood. The 3 drops of fire spirit essence blood accurately landed on Qianlai's open palm. It landed into the wound where the silver streak heavenly snake blood was merging into his blood. Poof! The 3 drops of fire spirit blood caused Qianlai to suddenly burst into flame when they touched. The fire spirit quickly returned to the soul-suppressing orb. In Gordon's eyes, Qianlai suddenly became an erupting volcano that released destructive heat. Not good. La Pu's expression changed and he said anxiously, I hadn't expected the spirit of void and chaos to interfere. Now the flame power in Qianlai's bloodline is even more uncontrollable. We must move Miss Ling away from him. At this time, Gordon and the others felt a destructive aura that seemed able to burn everything from Qianlai's body. Leave it to me. Luz reached out with a hand. A gray-brown light quickly covered Ling Yushi and immediately pulled her away from the small stone house. The next moment, Ling Yushi appeared on the Ling Town's plaza. The stone house was drowned in flames, and so was Qianlai, who completely disappeared from sight. The experts from Nether Realm saw mysterious characters and felt a terrifying and raging destructive intent that wanted to annihilate the world itself. His soul has entered the Chaos Blood Realm, Gordon suddenly said. Gordon, who possessed the 9th eye, was more sensitive than anyone else. He detected the wondrous change occurring in Qianlai's body from tiny fluctuations. It seems his bloodline has evolved to rank 6. Gray was also surprised. He is different from the rumors. According to the information we gathered, Venerable One's grandson possessed the strongest bloodline, but never managed to awaken it. That was 300 years ago, La Pu said gravely. Maybe the future Qin family can once again establish themselves in Spirit Realm's central world through him, Gordon said. I believe this boy's future accomplishments will not be any less formidable than his father's, Luz said. La Pu looked at the trio, thought for a moment and then said, I speculate that the Venerable One wants him to pair with Miss Ling. Gordon stilled for a while and then said, Is that really the Venerable One's intention? I think so. La Pu nodded and said, At the beginning, Venerable One lived in Ling Town with him. His engagement with Miss Ling was Venerable One's doing. Gordon, Miss Ling has an unimaginably powerful bloodline. She will start the new epoch for the Dark Nether race. The Venerable One has recognized her identity. Why can't you do the same? Gray shouted. Gordon was silent. A long time later, he took a deep breath and said, When I return to the Ghost Eye race, I will discuss with the clan elders for them to acknowledge the Ling family's status. When these words were said, Gray, Luz, and La Pu's eyes lit up. In an unknown chaotic world, countless prismatic rays of light flashed to and fro. White clouds moved and rolled, while everything in view was blurry. Only nearby could one see the crystal icy bubbles. Those bubbles were like stars, billions of them filled the firmament. Lightning divine characters flashed within the bubbles as though they recorded the mysteries of races. Qin Lai's soul floated in this wondrous world. He quickly recognized where he was, the Chaos Blood Realm. This was his second time here. The first time, his soul had absorbed the sea of knowledge inside 3 bubbles. He gained knowledge of evil dragons and 3 ghoul races' history, as well as a technique, the Ring of the Burning Sun. Only pure blood and powerful ancient races' clansmen could enter the Chaos Blood Realm by chance. The Chaos Blood Realm was imprinted with the most vital secrets of an ancient race, the most terrifying and profound techniques of the race's past experts, as well as the records of their most glorious times. They provided new descendants with knowledge of history and power. Ancient races with long history were able to prosper for long because of the existence of the Chaos Blood Realm. All pure-blood descendants of the ancient races, as long as they could enter their race's Chaos Blood Realm and repeatedly awaken their bloodline, could become stronger. They wouldn't be like the Serene Moon race, worried that the most powerful secret arts of their race would be lost in the river of history. Qin Lai's soul floated in the Chaos Blood Realm. He swam around icy glowing bubbles. He tried to find larger bubbles and merge the vast mysterious and knowledge into his soul. He charged towards a starry bubble. Poof! The blinding light sprayed and his soul crashed on the enormous bubble. He was bounced back and unable to merge in. The deepest memories from his bloodline and soul told him his bloodline wasn't strong enough to absorb the history and secrets of the heaven-fighting race. His attempt allowed him to understand a truth. He couldn't absorb just any memories. If he wanted to absorb the deepest memories, his bloodline would resist and the Chaos Blood Realm would not allow it. Therefore, he settled down and searched for smaller bubbles around him. He knew that the bubbles around where he landed were most suitable for him. The Chaos Blood Realm seemed to have picked the best bubbles according to the rank of his bloodline. Hi's soul smashed towards that small bubble. Whoosh! His soul suddenly entered. Then, an ocean of starry dots drowned him. In a flash, a great number of memories were forced into his mind. A rank 6 bloodline ability that made use of magma lakes, molten blood art poured towards him from this bubble. He was forced to accept everything. Lightning flashed within the bubble, and fragmented divine characters melded into his soul like butterflies. A long time later, he finally absorbed all the divine characters of the molten blood art into his soul and dazedly came out. Within the Chaos Blood Realm, there usually wasn't enough to digest everything. He needed time to find more memories. And so, he looked at the next icy bubble and smashed towards it. His soul suddenly entered. The next moment, knowledge on perfect blood flew out and turned into divine characters to imprint on his soul. He was forced to accept this. A long time later, all the knowledge in this bubble about perfect blood was absorbed by his soul. When he came out and prepared to charge towards the next bubble, his soul felt a burst of dizziness. Then he gradually woke up and felt the existence of his limbs and body. He immediately realized he had come out of the Chaos Blood Realm. He saw Tate was sitting in the little stone house. The The stone house was burnt black. Everything flammable had been burned to ashes. "You sure?" he subconsciously shouted. "Miss Ling was moved outside long ago." La Pu's voice came from outside the stone house and relaxed his mind. He did not continue to speak. In the little stone house that had clearly been burned by fire, he sat and organized the memories he obtained from the Chaos Blood realm. Molten Blood art was not like the Ring of the Burning Sun. Ring of the Burning Sun was an ability that used the bloodline to attack. The Molten Blood art was used to enhance his rank 6 bloodline through the magma lakes at the core of volcanoes. When certain powers in the magma were absorbed into the bloodline, the rank 6 bloodline of the Blaze family could release the terrifying power of the magma. The Molten Blood art was specifically used to cultivate a rank 6 bloodline to grow stronger and transform to rank 7. Obtaining this secret art meant that his bloodline had truly entered rank 6. His thoughts moved, and his bloodline boiled in his body like a surging river of flame. Within his bloodline, many flame divine characters flashed. Some characters were similar to the Blaze divine characters. He felt with his soul and learned the meaning of those runes. One was corrosion, the other was flame consumption. These two mysterious runes were not the same. He was surprised by his discovery. He realized when his bloodline reached rank 6, his 3 latent abilities, transformation, enhanced recovery, and ignition, had all been magnified. However, he seemed to not have obtained any new latent abilities. But the runes corrosion and flame consumption within his blood seemed like new latent abilities. However, those 2 latent abilities were not related to the Blaze family's bloodline. He was extremely puzzled. He temporarily put aside the abnormality of his bloodline and considered his memories concerning perfect blood. He carefully organized the knowledge in his mind. Then he learned that when the God race had been waging war on the world, they had tried to form perfect blood. The so-called perfect blood was the God race using their own bloodline as the core, using it to extract the most profound mysteries of other ancient bloodlines and assimilate them into their bloodline. They were going to use the most profound aspects of other bloodlines to perfect their own bloodline. They wanted their bloodlines to assimilate the greatest qualities of all the powerful races. This vast study had started before they even invaded Spirit Realm. After they had conquered Spirit Realm, they imprisoned ancient races' clansmen of different cultivation realms, and forcibly extracted their lifeblood essence to study the possibility of creating the perfect blood. However, they repeatedly failed. By mistake, they created the heavenly blood divine beam through merging the bloodline of 15 ancient races, but not perfect blood. Once heavenly blood divine beam entered the ancient bloodlines, it could digest the core parts of their bloodline. It could cause an ancient race's bloodline to devolve to a level lower than human mortals. The reason the God race angered the races was greatly related to how they had imprisoned the other races' clansmen and used their blood to research perfect blood. Imprinted in his memories were the methods the God race tried to create perfect blood, the details, the failed experiments, and the method that led to creation of heavenly blood divine beam. But these characters were not what Xianxia needed. After sorting the memories, he was not sure if the God race had successfully created perfect blood. Sitting silently in the stone house, his expression was dark. He didn't know why a knowledge bubble on perfect blood appeared next to him. The first time he entered Chaos Blood Realm, he obtained knowledge on the evil dragon race, 3 great ghoul races, and learned how to cultivate the Ring of the Burning Sun. Those were the secret technique and knowledge he desperately needed back then. He even felt that the Chaos Blood Realm would give the knowledge each person needed according to the level of their bloodline and their environment. His bloodline had just entered rank 6. It was appropriate to receive Molten Blood art. He believed Chaos Blood Realm had arranged this for him based on his bloodline. But what did the great amount of memories on perfect blood have to do with him? Xianxia thought for a long time and couldn't understand why the Chaos Blood Realm had arranged this. Whoosh! The fire spirit flew out of the soul-suppressing orb, and cheerfully squeaked around him as it excitedly described something. The fire spirit even attached himself to Xianxia's chest and became many times more familiar than before. The fire spirit seemed to think of Xianxia as the most trusted relative. Relative? Xianxia was shocked. Then, he suddenly felt slightly hungry. Through the fire spirit's thoughts, he also received some important news. He took out pieces of heavenly flame crystal out of his spatial ring. Heavenly flame crystal, Earth grade 6 spirit material, was what the fire spirit liked the most. He placed the pieces of heavenly flame crystal in front of him. He took a deep breath and bled drops of blood from the wound on his left hand, where he had merged the rank 9 silver streak heavenly snake's blood. His blood landed on the heavenly flame crystal. ZZT, ZZT, ZZT. Big clumps of smoke rose. He saw the heavenly flame crystal dissolve, but the crimson flames within were extracted rapidly by his blood. In a short period of time, the pieces of heavenly flame crystal became a dark gray. His blood had burned, corroded, and absorbed all the flame power in the heavenly flame crystals. Flame swallowing, a power to consume fire attribute spirit materials. This was a trait unique to the spirits of void and chaos. Corrosion seemed to be the core talent of Silver Streak heavenly snakes. Before he entered the Chaos Blood Realm, he had assimilated a drop of the Silver Streak heavenly snake's blood, 3 drops of the Fire Spirit's blood, and then he enhanced his bloodline to rank 6. His bloodline now had 2 latent abilities that did not belong to the Blaze family, corrosion and flame consumption. He also received knowledge and memories on perfect blood from the Chaos Blood Realm. Qin Lai dazedly sat there. A long time later, he murmured. Through the God race and Qin family reproducing together, they managed to create perfect blood? Qin Lai thought for a very, very long time inside the small stone house before he finally made his way out slowly. He had made up his mind not to tell anyone about the changes in his bloodline. Qin Lai, this is Gordon of the Horned Demon race, and this is Gray, current chief of the Ghost Eye race. The moment he walked out, Luz immediately smiled at him and introduced 2 new faces to him. Qin Lai nodded towards both of them before looking at the nearby Ling Yushi. Ling Yushi was still absorbing the rank 9 silver streak heavenly snake's refined blood. Her aura was peaceful, but her soul was rippling with energy. When he set loose his soul consciousness, he discovered that it was nearly pulled into the strange whirlpool of activity that was in Ling Yushi's soul. He hastily withdrew his consciousness and simply stared at her with serious expression. Miss Ling's bloodline has characteristics of Nether Realm's 9 soul hell. She's going to be the epic maker of the dark Nether race, Lapu said excitedly. Big Brother and I will persuade the Ghost Eye race elders to acknowledge Miss Ling's identity. Big Brother. Qin Lai looked astonished. Lapu pointed at Gray while looking a little embarrassed. He said, "He's my big brother." I see. Qin Lai was slightly surprised by the connection. Then, he abruptly shook and asked, "Will the Ghost Eye race acknowledge the Ling family's identity?" "There shouldn't be any problems," Gray promised loudly. Qin Lai was filled with joy the moment he heard this. He knew that Ling Yushi hadn't had a good time on the Nether continent recently because of Blue Flame Manor and the lack of support from the Ghost Eye race. 3,000 years had passed, and the Ghost Eye race had become the most powerful race in the entire Nether realm. Both the profound Nether Sea and 9 Soul Hell were under their control. Nearly all of the most precious spirit materials in Nether realm were birthed in these 2 places. That was why the 2 other races led by the Ling family weren't able to obtain Nether realm's cultivation resources without the Ghost Eye race's acknowledgement. To the Ling family, some of the spirit materials that grew in these 2 strange lands were the best spirit medicine they could hope for to improve their strength swiftly. However, the Ghost Eye race had more experts and was stronger than both the Horned Demon race and Dark Shadow race combined. If the Ghost Eye race could agree to support Ling Yushi in the war against Blue Flame Manor, they might be strong enough to contend against their enemies. Now that their internal troubles had been resolved, the foreign enemies suddenly looked a lot less threatening than before. Qin Lai knew that Gray's promise was amazing news to the Ling family, Luz, and Gordon. "Have your bloodline reached rank 6 already?" Luz asked. Qin Lai nodded. "That's right. Thanks to the Silver Streak Heavenly Snake's blood essence and the 3 drops of refined blood the Fire Spirit gave me, my bloodline has reached rank 6. Have you obtained a new latent ability?" Gordon looked very curious. Many powerful races had the chance of gaining a new latent ability every time their bloodline evolved to the next rank. Since Qin Lai possessed the strongest god race bloodline, it was only natural to think that he would gain a new latent ability after the breakthrough. No, it simply improved my original latent abilities by a little, Qin Lai said calmly. I see. La Pu looked very puzzled and surprised by this outcome. Maybe you'll gain a stronger latent ability when you achieve rank 7. According to my knowledge, some races naturally have a lower chance of gaining new latent abilities. Everyone threw in their own opinions regarding the mysteries of bloodlines. Did someone from Blue Flame Manor hurt Wuxia? Qin Lai suddenly asked. Gordon gritted his teeth and uttered with a savage look on his face. Guanzhou of Blue Flame Manor was the one who injured her. Back then I haven't returned to Nether Realm, and Grey and the Ghost Eye race wasn't willing to lend us a hand in fighting against Blue Flame Manor. Therefore, Gordon was the only one who could fight against the human Void Realm expert. Luz explained. That Guanzhou possesses a 5-level soul altar, and he fights together with a 4-level soul altar expert called Wantong. Therefore, Gordon was at a disadvantage when he fought against both of them. Grey, get back to your race as soon as possible, and let them know just how powerful our queen's bloodline is. Tell those old fools to acknowledge the Ling family's status already. Gordon let out a snort before saying, now that Luz has returned, and the Ghost Eye race has decided to support us, we have the power to take the fight to Blue Flame Manor instead. Is Blue Flame Manor's palace lord, Kai Ken, still at the Vermilion Bird Realm? Luz asked while narrowing his eyes. I'm not sure. Gordon shook his head. Kai Ken didn't join in the offense when Blue Flame Manor attacked us last time. I heard that Kai Ken went to the Vermilion Bird Realm to cultivate and hasn't returned yet, but I'm not sure if he's come back already. Luz nodded and smiled at Qin Lai. Do you remember the time you brought a rank 8 Vermilion Bird to meet Tong Yen at Baluo Realm? He knew of Tong Xinjian's identity. Realization struck Qin Lai as he exclaimed, that's right. The Vermilion Bird Realm is currently occupied by Blue Flame Manor. So in this case, the Vermilion Bird race is our ally. Before Tong Xinjian left, she did tell me she wanted to work with us and fight against Blue Flame Manor. A rank 9 Vermilion Bird is a pretty terrifying opponent, Luz said with bright eyes. Tong Yan's strength is probably on par with Kai Kan's, so if she's willing to lend us a hand, Blue Flame Manor is not a concern. Are we certain that the teleportation formation Tate left behind on Soul Summoning Island will work smoothly at any time? Qin Lai asked. Gordon thought for a moment. There will be no problems. I don't think the Vermilion Bird race is the only ally we can summon. I think I should be able to convince Tang Yuan and Nivit to help us too. Qin Lai pondered for a moment before saying, also, I can supply you guys with a great amount of spirit armors, spirit artifacts, and all sorts of cultivation resources. To be honest, I couldn't find a place to spend the ridiculous amount of spirit stones I earned thanks to Baluo Realm until now. Gordon and Luz shook at his words. La Pu also exclaimed, it is true that Flaming Sun Island is rolling in money, and they have the blazing profound bombs too. If several bombs are detonated at once, they can instantly kill all martial practitioners under the imperishable realm. The 3 great experts of Nether Realm immediately grew spirited. Go make a list of spirit materials, spirit armors, spirit artifacts, pills, and so on that you're lacking right now. When I head back to the ruined lands, I will send the order to have them prepared and delivered to the Nether continent as soon as possible, Qin Lai said. All right, Gordon was overjoyed. You guys chat amongst yourselves. I'll be heading over there for a moment. Qin Lai walked towards Ling Chengji and other members of Ling family after he said this. With Gordon and Luz around, he believed that nothing undesirable would befall Ling Wuxia. Uncle Ling, Brother Feng, Xianxia. Long time no see, Qin Lai called out. Ling Chengji and the rest of the Ling family were sitting quietly on the other side of the Ling family's public square, watching Ling Wuxia's transformation and Qin Lai chatting with the 3 peak experts of the 3 great races from afar. After so many years had passed since their bloodline awakening, Ling Feng and Ling Xianxia entered the fulfillment realm. They actually surpassed Ling Qingji, who was only in the manifestation realm, because he was past the best time to awaken his bloodline. What were you guys talking about, Big Brother Qin? Ling Xianxia was garbed in a bright red dress. and she was growing prettier and prettier over time. She cast a somewhat fearful glance towards Gray and asked, "That guy with 9 eyes had always been harsh towards us. He always looks at us with disdainful eyes. What did you talk with him about?" "The Ghost Eye race came over a few times, but they never spoke anything good about us." Ling Qingji let out a long sigh. "Even worse, the Ghost Eye race is the strongest race in Nether Realm right now. We cannot obtain the items that we need for our cultivation without their acknowledgement." He pointed at Ling Xianxia and Ling Feng. His own bloodline hadn't awakened, so he didn't need the special cultivation materials of Nether Realm yet. He was just worrying for the juniors. "I heard from Tate about you." Ling Feng grinned and said candidly, "You haven't changed a bit. Tate told me you nearly turned the land of chaos upside down." Haha, he was happy for Qin Lai from the bottom of his heart. "We would have stuck with you if we knew this would happen." Ling Xianxian pursed her lips and said unhappily, "Sure. Our realm and bloodline have been improving non-stop ever since we came to the Nether continent. And the Horned Demon race and Dark Shadow race also treated us with great respect. But Blue Flame Manor is trying to invade us, and the Ghost Eye race is unconvinced of us. Our life is an endless cycle of oppression." Ling Xuanxuan's eyes suddenly lit up as she asked excitedly, "Qin Lai, why don't we come with you to the land of chaos?" "I don't think you can." Qin Lai shook his head. "But why?" Ling Xianxian asked disappointedly. Qin Lai turned around and looked at Gordon, Gray, and Luz. He said, "To them, you all are the hope of Nether Realm. They will conquer the world with you at the center and lead the races of Nether Realm to their former glory." "That guy totally looks down on us." Ling Xianxian pointed at Gray and snorted. "That is in the past." Gray turned towards them and revealed a terrifying smile from afar. "From Haran, you are the dark Nether race in my heart. You are the royal race of Nether Realm." He then looked at Ling Yushir with real respect for the first time. "And she is the queen of us, Ghost Eye race." The members of the Ling family were completely caught off guard. They had no idea what Qin Lai told Gray to change his mind so abruptly. They all looked gratefully at Qin Lai. It had been a long while since they last met. So Qin Lai chatted casually with Ling Feng and everyone in the small Ling town while staring at Ling Yushir from afar. "What rank are your bloodlines at?" Qin Lai asked. "I'm at rank 4. Ling Feng chuckled. "My bloodline awakened a bit late, so it's not as powerful as second misses." "Your bloodline is at rank 5 too?" Qin Lai stared at Ling Xianxian in surprise. "It's nothing strange, is it?" Ling Xianxian said in a matter-of-fact tone. "My bloodline awakened back at Seven Fiends Valley, so I learned the marvelous secrets of my bloodline since a long time ago. The reason Big Sis is at rank 6 is because she has put more work into cultivation after we arrived at the Nether continent. That's why she's a bit stronger than I am." "What kind of latent abilities do the two of you possess?" Qin Lai asked again. He was rather curious about the Dark Nether race's bloodline. From what he learned recently, he knew that a Dark Nether clansman could evolve into a demon god when they reached rank 10. Demon god was the equivalent of a Genesis realm expert of the human race. They wielded many unfathomable abilities. The Dark Shadow race, Horned Demon race, and Ghost Eye race didn't actually count as powerful ancient races. They were not acknowledged by the powerful races of the galaxy. However, the Dark Nether race was different. They were acknowledged by nearly all powerful races as one of the strongest races to exist. Their bloodline was also thought to be extremely precious, powerful, and one of the best in the world. From the Chaos Blood Realm, after he obtained the knowledge regarding perfect blood, he already learned that even the God race valued the Dark Nether race's bloodline a lot. One of the 15 types of bloodline that made up the Heavenly Blood Divine Beam was the Dark Nether race's bloodline. The 15 bloodlines that were used to refine the Heavenly Blood Divine Beam were all bloodlines of strongest races. The blood of the races who were generally known as powerful races such as the Dragon race, Giant race, Ancient Beast race, Azura race, and so on were all mingled in it. The Heavenly Blood Divine Beam also contained the blood of some less-known races that had waned in power after the war against the God race. These races had hidden themselves in realms far away from Spirit Realm. Since the Dark Nether race's bloodline was one of the 15 bloodlines that made up the heavenly blood divine beam, it had to have miraculous qualities. That was why he was extremely curious about Ling Xianxian and Ling Feng's bloodlines. My bloodline has the latent ability called the Profound Nether Holy Flame. Deep, dark light appeared behind Ling Xuanxuan's purple pupils. She raised her left hand gently and summoned a faint purple-colored flame in her snow-white palm. The purple flame kept changing forms. Sometimes it looked like a beautiful blooming flower, and sometimes it looked like an evil soul. The flame was also sometimes hot and sometimes icy. It was very mysterious. I also cultivated the fire spirit art back at Seven Fiends Valley. Maybe it was because my master noticed that I had an affinity with fire-type spirit arts back then. After my bloodline awakened, I obtained a different kind of power from it. This power could be fused into the fire spirit art I originally cultivated. When my bloodline reached rank 5, I entered the Dark Nether race's Chaos Blood Realm and learned that my bloodline is called the Profound Nether Holy Flame. This flame of bloodline can be improved at a faster rate if it's cultivated inside the Profound Nether Sea. Ling Xianxian said. Qin Lai stared at the clump of purple flame in her palm with narrowed eyes. Your bloodline flame seems to be extremely effective against souls. Yeah. Ling Xianxian puffed up her chest proudly before saying, From what I learned from the Chaos Blood Realm, the Profound Nether Holy Flame can even destroy a soul altar expert's soul origin when it reaches its final form. Qin Lai had to hide his shock when he heard this. He rubbed his chin and pondered for a moment. Then he looked at Ling Feng and asked, What about you, big brother? My bloodline is a lot weaker than the two misses. Ling Feng let out a dry laugh. Until now, I've only awakened a latent ability called the Shell Shield. He also activated his bloodline power as he said this. His body became enveloped in a layer of natural shell. It was a tough, ink-black-colored shell that was covered in natural patterns just like a normal shell. However, it still gave off mysterious feeling. Once Shell Shield is formed, most attacks of powerful spirit arts become less effective when they land on my body. Ling Feng explained. Not only doesn't it affect my movement, it even makes me a bit stronger than before. However, it doesn't have any mysterious uses. At the very least, that's how it appears to be for now. Do not look down on yourself, Ling Feng. Maybe your Shell Shield will become different when your bloodline reaches rank 5. Ling Qinji comforted him. Amen. It's like this. At the beginning, my sister's bloodline wasn't all that powerful just like Ling Feng's. Ling Xianxian also said. However, her bloodline suddenly became different when it reached rank 6. It was as if her bloodline could draw in a person's soul. The reason that 5-level soul altar expert Guanzhou was hurt by Lord Gordon was all thanks to Big Sis using a secret art, causing his soul to go out of control. What in spirit realm is Yusher's latent ability? Qin Lai asked in astonishment. It involves the most profound mysteries of soul. Ling Chengji took in a deep breath before saying seriously, I don't know exactly what it is, but both Lord Gordon and Lord Tate said that her latent abilities are extraordinary. Qin Lai was surprised on the inside. He heard from La Pu that all latent abilities that had to do with the soul were incredibly rare and usually very powerful. The soul was the origin of all life forms. Therefore, a latent ability that could affect the soul could only be the most terrifying kind of power. He subconsciously looked at Gray and Luz, and it was only now he realized that they were staring at Ling Yusher like they were staring at a rare jade that hadn't been sculpted yet. He suddenly understood that neither he nor Gray's younger brother La Pu were the reason why Gray acknowledged the Ling family. It was all thanks to Ling Yusher herself. It was at this moment the unusual ripple of energy in Ling Yusher's body subsided. Her long eyebrows moved as if she was about to awaken. Qin Lai stopped conversing with Ling Feng and the others as they walked together towards Ling Yusher and stopped beside the Nether Realm experts. Is Yusher's bloodline extremely rare and powerful? Qin Lai asked La Pu for confirmation. La Pu nodded heavily. To my knowledge of bloodlines, Miss Ling's bloodline will be the second ultimate bloodline to transform the Dark Nether race completely. If her bloodline evolves to rank 10 in the future, she will be even more powerful than the demon gods from 3,000 years ago. She may even be stronger than all 5 of them combined. Qin Lai and the members of Ling family were shocked when they heard this. Is it really that powerful? Qin Lai asked in astonishment. A long time ago, the Dark Nether race was just a small race that was far inferior to the Horned Demon race, Dark Shadow race, or Ghost Eye race. This lasted until the day a Dark Nether clansman's bloodline awakened and enabled him to form a miraculous connection with one of the 2 forbidden land of Nether realm, the profound Nether Sea. Not only that, he was able to obtain an endless source of power from the profound Nether Sea, and he was the first person in Nether realm to evolve his bloodline to rank 10. La Pu inhaled deeply before continuing in a tone of deep respect. It was thanks to him that the Dark Nether race became the royal race of Nether realm. It was thanks to him the Dark Nether clansmen after him were able to evolve their bloodlines to rank 10. That was why the Dark Nether race's bloodline became publicly known as one of the 15 strongest bloodlines. He single-handedly started a golden era for the Dark Nether race and Nether realm. Miss Ling is the only other person we know of with the latent ability to connect with the other forbidden land of Nether realm, the Nine-Soul Hell. Moreover, her bloodline exhibits qualities that are identical to that of Dark Nether clansmen. If Miss Ling can reach rank 10 bloodline in the future, she can create a new era of prosperity and lead Nether realm to completely new heights. La Pu wasn't the only one who looked excited at this point. Even the top 3 experts of Nether realm, Gordon, Luz, and Gray, looked excited too. Your knowledge regarding bloodline is truly impressive. Qin Lai praised him. It is my lifelong dream to perfect the Horned Demon race, Dark Shadow race, and Ghost Eye race's bloodline. I wish to aid the 3 great races of Nether realm to reach rank 10 bloodline too, La Pu exclaimed. A thought suddenly entered Qin Lai's mind as he stared at La Pu thoughtfully. He didn't reveal his thought on the spot though. Finally, Ling Yushi had awakened from her meditative state as she looked at the crowd and smiled. I'm fine now. And you're wound? Gordon asked worriedly. I'm all healed now, Ling Yushi answered with a smile. My queen, I have come to see you as a representative of the Ghost Eye race. Gray suddenly knelt on one knee and saluted her solemnly in the way of Nether realm etiquette. After I return to the Ghost Eye race, I will convince the elders to acknowledge your unparalleled status as the queen of Nether realm. Why have you suddenly changed your mind? Ling Yushi looked very puzzled. Gray answered seriously, It's because I just learned that you'll bring an incredible change to Nether realm. Qin Lai stayed at the Nether continent for a couple more days. Then, he acquired a list of cultivation spirit materials Nether continent currently lacked from Luz. After he returned to Soul Summoning Island using the Whitebone Nether Spirit Altar, he began organizing the delivery. The Venerable One doesn't want you to get involved with the troubles of the Nether continent too soon. At Soul Summoning Island, Tate said with a look of dilemma. Considering the amount of help you're sending to the Nether continent, it's only a matter of time before the Venerable One finds out that I let you over and blame me for it. That is then, this is now. I dare say that no one can recognize me except those Genesis Realm Elders if I were to switch to a new name and a new identity and appear openly at the Central World right now, Qin Lai said carelessly. Plus, Genesis Realm experts seldom show their faces. Even if I did run into them somehow, they wouldn't examine me with their terrifying soul-peering abilities as long as I act normal. So there's no way they'll realize who I am. The Venerable One doesn't want to bet on the what if. Tate sighed. Don't worry, I'll be careful. Qin Lai consoled him. After pondering for a moment, he added, Please stay at Soul Summoning Island for a while. I'll ask Flaming Sun Island to prepare those spirit materials you need, and visit the rank 9 Vermilion Bird at Baluo Realm to know her decision. All right, Tate nodded. Qin Lai headed to Evil Infant Island immediately. For the past few years, Evil Infant Boy had been teaching the art of artifact forging to the artificers of Grey Island. He happened to be there right now. When Evil Infant Boy heard of Qin Lai's arrival, he immediately rushed over from the cultivation grounds and went straight to the heart of the matter. Qin Lai, we need a large-sized teleportation formation. Qin Lai was surprised. What do you mean? Right now, Evil Infant Boy had become a true member of Flaming Sun Island, who did his best to help the growth of Flaming Sun Island's artificers. He was deeply respected by Mo-Hai, Yao Tai, and Tang Siki. Mo-Hai even checked with him in private in the past to know if it was possible to reveal parts of the ancient spirit diagram secrets to Evil Infant Boy. It showed that he viewed Evil Infant Boy as one of them. Evil Infant Boy was forced to leave Celestial Artifact Sect because he lost the fight against Luohan. His biggest lifelong dream was to beat Celestial Artifact Sect completely in a different artificer force in the Land of Chaos. He saw that possibility in Flaming Sun Island. That was why he did all he could to aid Flaming Sun Island and assumed the identity of a teacher. He wanted to topple the rule of Celestial Artifact Sect over the Land of Chaos in terms of artifact forging. However, he was a former Celestial Artifact Sect member and a shady person who took a lot of lives in the past. That was why Qin Lai couldn't put his guard down completely. The ancient spirit diagrams were the core of Flaming Sun Island's strength. Qin Lai wasn't willing to give access to them to anyone he couldn't completely trust. Right now, Evil Infant Boy was still in probation period. He was still wondering if he should accept this artificer for real. The teleportation formation connecting Flaming Sun Island and the Ruined Lands is a medium-sized formation. Its teleportation range is limited, Evil Infant Boy explained. It may be able to teleport people and objects to the nearby Illusory Demon Sect, the Ruined Lands, and from the Ruined Lands to Terminator Sect or even the Heavenly Calamity Continent. But that's about it. Neither of these two teleportation formations can perform direct teleportations to the Heavenly Wither Continent or the Heavenly Slaughter Continent. We have to switch teleportation formations midway. Right now, Flaming Sun Island is one of the strongest silver rank forces in the Land of Chaos. Don't you think it's embarrassing that we don't have a large-sized teleportation formation of our own? Qin Lai raised an eyebrow. Can you build a large-sized teleportation formation? Evil Infant Boy curled his lips with obvious pride on his face. Nearly all large-sized teleportation formations in the Land of Chaos had been built by my master. Right now, the only ones who can do the same is that wonderful senior brother of mine and me. Qin Lai's interest was piqued. How much spirit materials does it take to build one? The spirit materials should cost around 10 million or so Earth-grade spirit stones. Evil Infant Boy licked the corner of his lips with obvious excitement. In the past, Flaming Sun Island wasn't rich enough to take out such a large number of spirit stones. However, after you built a trade channel with Boluo Realm, the amount of spirit stones we earned in the past few months is downright astronomical. Right now, we are more than wealthy enough to build a large-sized teleportation formation for ourselves. Can the large-sized teleportation formation connect to other similar formations in the Land of Chaos? Qin Lai asked seriously. Evil Infant Boy nodded. The moment we succeed, Flaming Sun Island will be able to link with any of the formations of the 5 continents. In fact, it can even connect with the Eastern Barbarians' teleportation formation. Of course, that is only possible if they allow it and give us the exact spatial coordinates. The Eastern Barbarians. Qin Lai rubbed his chin and thought for a moment. Can it connect to even further continents? For example, can it connect with the Central World? The White Bone Nether Spirit Altertate had left behind at Soul Summoning Island was also a teleportation formation. It could teleport anyone and anything directly to the Nether Continent without having to go through multiple teleportation formations. He could sense vaguely that the White Bone Nether Spirit Altar and the large-sized teleportation formation at the Nether Continent had been probably created by his grandfather. Those were some of the best teleportation formations that existed in Spirit Realm. They could perform teleportations across the entire realm. However, there were very few such teleportation formations in existence. He knew very well that Tate and all Nether Realm denizens were extremely reliant on those 2 teleportation formations. This also meant that these teleportation formations could never be given to Soul Summoning Island. If he wished to communicate with the Nether Continent whenever he wished, he would need to build a super large-sized teleportation formation that could connect with the Nether Continent. He looked expectantly at Evil Infant Boy. A bit of depression leaked into Evil Infant Boy's eyes. Even my master could only build large-sized teleportation formations that function within the Land of Chaos only. he was incapable of building one that could connect to the central world. Since he hasn't taught either of us his knowledge in that area, I'm afraid that I'm just as powerless as he was. Qianlai felt a little disappointed. However, Evil Infant Boy stared deeply at Qianlai. If I can study the most mysterious spirit diagrams in the world, the ancient spirit diagrams, and learn the secrets and laws of the world behind them, I may be able to surpass my master. Qianlai frowned and fell silent. Evil Infant Boy felt a little anxious. Although he thought himself as a member of Flaming Sun Island, he knew that the only people Qianlai truly trusted were Mo Hai, Tang Siki, Yao Tai, and the rest of his friends who came from the Scarlet Tide continent. So far, these were the only people who were given access to the source of Flaming Sun Island's emergence, the ancient spirit diagrams. There were no artificers who didn't desire the secrets of the ancient spirit diagrams. Naturally, he wasn't an exception to the rule. He also knew that Qianlai was the only one he could grant him access to the greatest secret of Flaming Sun Island. When he thought up to this point, Evil Infant Boy clenched his teeth and said suddenly, "I can give you a sliver of my soul origin. If I show any signs of betraying Flaming Sun Island, or do anything that harms it, you can easily wipe out my soul using that soul origin." Qianlai looked astonished. "Do you want to study the ancient spirit diagrams that much?" No artificer can resist the allure of the ancient spirit diagrams. To accomplish this dream, I'm willing to give up my freedom and even my soul, Evil Infant Boy declared without hesitation. Qianlai rubbed his chin and thought carefully for a moment. A while later he said, "Head to Flaming Sun Island and seek out Mo Hai. Tell him that you have my permission to study the ancient spirit diagrams from here on." Evil Infant Boy's childlike body shivered with visible excitement. He stuttered, "IIW will give you a sliver of my soul origin right now." "It's fine." Qianlai waved him off before narrowing his eyes into a look of cold warning. "If you dare betray Flaming Sun Island, I have plenty of ways to make you wish you were dead even without your soul origin." He could summon the rank 9 evil dragons, the 3 great experts of Nether Realm, the ancient beast race, and even Xianxia and Shueli to help him. As he said, he had plenty of ways to kill Evil Infant Boy if he so wished. He didn't need his soul origin at all. "Do not worry, Island Master. I will serve Flaming Sun Island for as long as I live." Evil Infant Boy swore a blood oath after expressing his loyalty. It was only then that he said, "Actually, a secret realm entrance is even more mysterious and complicated than a super large-sized teleportation formation. Once I'm able to integrate my knowledge regarding the powers of space and build a super large-sized teleportation formation in the future, I may even be able to build a secret realm entrance to traverse realms, if Flaming Sun Island ever takes over another realm." "Very good." Qianlai nodded. "Take this list with you and pass it to Song Tingyu. Tell her to send the materials on this list to Soul Summoning Island." "Is it another business trade with Baluo Realm?" Evil Infant Boy looked surprised. Flaming Sun Island's interaction with Baluo Realm might still be unconfirmed news to other silver rank forces, but many people in Flaming Sun Island already knew about this. Evil Infant Boy was the artificing teacher of Grey Island. Naturally, he knew this secret just by looking at the flow of materials. That was why he thought the list was another business trade between Qianlai and Baluo Realm. "No, it's not." Qianlai shook his head before smiling. "It has something to do with the central world." The central world?" Evil Infant Boy looked stunned. "That is why I hope that you can refine a super large-sized teleportation formation." After he said this, Qianlai stepped into the teleportation formation with a smile and left behind one final line. "I'm heading to Terminator Sect for a bit." Evil Infant Boy stood there blankly for a moment as he pondered the meaning of Qianlai's words. A long time later, he muttered in a low, shocked tone. While the silver rank forces of the Land of Chaos were still loitering on the soil beneath their feet, Flaming Sun Island had already built a connection with Baluo Realm and even started to interact with the central world. From this, he knew that Flaming Sun Island was going to turn into the strongest force in the Land of Chaos even faster than before. In the future, Flaming Sun Island was without a doubt the most hopeful force to ascend into a gold rank force. Even evil infant boy's icy cold heart had started to boil with anticipation when imagined this prospect.